there, although he did opt to discard 2 energy switches with his Ultra Ball, which is not really ideal. And he plays an Ether Paradise Conservation Area. That's not a card we've seen all weekend.
I haven't seen that much over the but yeah, I mean, he will get the energy attachment onto the bench Pikachu Zekrom there. So trying to power that up to give him, as you say, an alternative attacker. I guess he's kind of fearful a little bit of that Riolu that's sitting on the bench. I mean, if that becomes a Lucario, that will have the knockout. So taking prizes, there's 1 Lightning Energy. I just missed the other prize that he just took there.
He's a Lightning Energy, and yeah, now Ian has got
an Ultra Ball in hand there, so he's got a Rescue Stretch as well, so we can actually recycle one of his Zoroarks because 2 Zoroarks are prized, so we can get 1 back at least into the deck. There is Ultra Ball. He's discarding Lycanroc and Lily. Does he have another way?
He has another Lily in his hand, so he's fine for draw. And he just wants to get the Lucario because now all he needs is fighting energy, and he has the knockout.
Yeah, so this was probably a huge threat from Philip, a huge threat from Ian here that Philip was worrying about, is just having that Riolu sitting on the bench there. That's why he's opted to power up another attacker in the process there. So let's have a look and see. There is a Rescue Stretcher. Rescue Stretcher is just going to recycle some Pokemon and put them back into the deck. Oh, actually, he's just opting to put 1 Zoroark back into his hand.
Well, he wants to maximize the chances of drawing a fighting energy. If he shuffles Paco back into the deck, then that means there's obviously more Pokemon that he can draw into which aren't fighting energy. And oh dear, looks like a double colorless, but no fighting energy for Ian, or not even his 1 rainbow energy.
Yeah, he does have Ultra Ball in hand, so perhaps he can Ultra Ball for something to try and deck thin a little bit. There goes the Judge Whistle. So
that's another very interesting card. Because Judge Whistle, he's just playing the 1, so this is a card that has one of 2 effects. So either it lets you just draw a card, simple enough, or you can use it to get a Judge Supporter card back from your discard pile.
So yeah, at this point, I'm thinking maybe the best thing to do is to try and deck in a little bit, try and bring something into your hand, perhaps use Communication to put Lele back into the deck, or maybe even try and Ultra Ball for something, and then try and trade to go for the knockout. I mean, if he misses the knockout here, this is a huge turning point in this matchup. So he opts it, just misses the fighting energy completely, and this is absolutely huge. I think at this point, you have to bench that Riolu here, and which is exactly what he's doing, because he still needs to offer some kind of threat that next turn. There goes Lysander's Lab there.
That was actually important to mention. It was saying they had the KO, but if you didn't have the counter stadium, actually the Ether Paradise Conservation Area would have protected the Pikachu Zekrom from being knocked out.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
But no, just no fighting energy, so just an attachment of the double colorless to the bench Zoroark GX and a pass. And we can mention, just to give you a quick update on the rest of the top 8 right now, so Rahul, Reddy, and Gustavo are currently both up 1-0 in their matches, so they're both in the lead in their respective top 8 matches. Great.
So that's fine. Let's have a look at what is going on here.
So he's looking through to... He knows that he dodged a massive bit of danger there, because obviously if Ian was able to find that fighting energy, that would have been a free prize knockout for him. But instead, Philip is really just free to have another turn to, potentially take another knockout. All he needs is another Electro Power, and he's to do another full blitz to take a KO.
There is a Electro Power there, so that is going to total up. So that will do a lot of damage there. Let's have a look what he draws. There's more.
That's it. That's a knockout.
That's a knockout there. Let's have a look. His hand. There's another Electro Power, but it's not really needed at this point. It may as well be conserved. I mean, at this point, do you put more energy onto your bench Pikachu Zekrom to try and try to power up that Tag Bolt GX for the following turn? Is that the strategy that you go down here?
I mean, there's no reason not to, right? Because even if your active gets knocked out at this point, then that means that you come in with your bench one, and you do Tag Bolt, and you knock out 2 things, and you take the win. It's and actually, he's just opting to go for the other Pikachu Zekrom instead, opting to conserve the energy and playing the second Electro Power, just so he still gets the 1-hit knockout with the full blitz. And so now he can just do a ton of energy spread. And now this is really clever, because it means that it still won't be really hard for Philip to power up that Tag Bolt next turn. He can just manually attach, do an energy switch, or put down a Thunder Mountain, or if he just attaches off of this full blitz, he doesn't even need to do that. It's ready there to go.
Right, certainly playing a lot more conservatively in terms of trying to keep those 2 cards in play. Although he does have that Lysander's Lab out, which is negating the effect of that Choice Band at this present moment in time.
Oh yes, actually he needed to play the second Electro Power, yeah.
So it will be a case of, there's Thunder Mountain. He's just taken Thunder Mountain out of his prizes there. So that will be able to counter that Lysander's Lab, so he will have the effect of Choice Band the following turn.
Oh, and off the top of the deck, Iron finds that fighting energy a little bit too late, unfortunately. He can go Pokemon Communication. Looks like he's going to go for the Rockruff then. Interestingly, not going for the... not going for the Lucario, but it looks like he's dropped some cards on the floor. Oh dear. Yeah, I think he's managed to pick them back up now.
Right, well, there must be a reason why he's opted not to go for that. I can only assume, I don't remember, maybe one was in the prizes, I'm not too sure, because I know he does play 2.
Yeah.
So why he's chosen to go for that Rockruff instead of another Lucario is, I can only assume that perhaps one is prize?
One's prize or one was discarded either way. I do see something that could be a Lucario GX in the discard pile, so either way, we're going to find out. He's going to... We play the judge here. Both players are going to go down to 4 cards in hand.
Right.
And he has access to 1 trade off Zoroark. He's not used trade yet, so that's something to consider as well. Yeah, he goes for the 1 trade, discards the Oranguru, and
there is the Lucario GX. So interestingly, he's decided to go for the Rockruff as opposed to just guaranteeing that he has that Lucario GX, which is a very interesting play on his side there. I'm not too sure what his thought process was in that, but regardless of that, he has managed to get that Lucario GX out into the active spot, so he can use Aura Strike, which will have knockout on the Pikachu Zekrom GX.
But I mean, the one problem is, I mean, the Lysander Labs is the only thing really saving him at this point, because all Philip needs to do is come in with a Tag Bolt GX, and it does 200 damage. Obviously, with the Choice Band, it will be 230. The Lysander Labs makes it so the Choice Band does not take effect. But now it just means that all Philip needs is an Electro Power, which I believe he still has 1 left. And if he plays that, he can just Tag Bolt and win.
Right, and I mean, at this point, it's like, I feel that this Lucario has come a turn too short. I think when he whiffed that fighting energy the last time, I really believe that was the turning point of this matchup, which is looking to be the case here. So really, we know Philip has the Thunder Mountain in hand because he took it from his prizes, unless did he have any form of hand manipulation the last turn? But I'm sure he took Thunder Mountain from...
No, Ian played Judge.
Yeah, oh, yes, you're right, yes, yeah.
And there's a Guzma Wow off the top of the deck. So yeah, Tag Bolt can just take a double knockout on Mark and whatever, and that means
is game to Philip there.
Yeah, Philip takes game 1 with a double knockout Tag Bolt GX, and yeah, well, Philip, countering against what could be a weakness exploiting deck, able to just manipulate his energy in the right way and do the full blitzes to the right things in order to still be able to take enough knockouts to win in what could be seen as unfavorable.
Right, and congratulations to him for winning his first game. We are going to go to a second game very shortly while the players both set up here. But that's the thing with this deck, is that you can see from Arjun's side that he has all the resources here to take out these Pikachus. Zekrom GXs here, but if you don't do it quick enough, this is something that, as you can see, what happens, it starts to use full blitz, starts to gather a lot of energy into play, and will start to cause a big problem here for you. So it's really integral from Iron's side to really start to think about trying to evolve those Riolus into the Lucario GX and trying to hit for weakness on that Pikachu Zekrom GX as soon as possible.
Yeah, so whilst these players are setting up, we have another match update here for you guys. So Brent Tonneson and Gustavo Wada are now currently tied 1-1, so obviously Brent won game 2. They will be moving on to a game 3. As this game progresses, we'll keep you updated with the rest of the top 8 games, just to let you guys know at home, obviously, what's going on. Don't forget, by the way, to get in touch with us using the hashtag PlayPokemon on Twitter. Tweet at us, tell us who you want to win, who you're going to be cheering for over the course of this top 8. Now that we have the top 8 bracket sealed, we would love to hear from you guys, so please get in touch and tweet using that hashtag PlayPokemon.
Yeah, and we could just see both players here setting up, cutting each other's decks, getting ready to play the next match. So we'll see what is prized here. So in terms of if that makes a big difference in terms of this matchup, we've seen some pretty ugly prizes over the course of yesterday and today. It
has kind of been like the mantra of the tournament, hasn't it? Just pricing difficulties.
Really crucial things at the wrong time, basically, has been pretty much something we've seen a lot of over the course of this weekend. But let's see here what he has. He had 2 Zoroark GXs prized on the first round, which wasn't really too crucial, I don't believe. I think that the turning point was more so that Lucario GX not getting that energy at the relevant time, because the effect of that attack was not enabled the following turn. So let's see with the prize count. There is 1 Lucario GX. There's a Lycanroc GX there. So
yeah, no, it's workable, but it's not ideal. Obviously, you don't really want to be pricing 2 Zoras and one of each of your fighting attackers.
Right, I think that was the word I was going to use just before you took it out of my mouth. Which workable is the key word there. So yeah, absolutely, it's not the worst situation that we've seen here. So he certainly has things to work with to be able to use.
Just perhaps could be a little bit frustrating if it means because it means obviously the things he does have will be a little bit harder to find.
Right, and he does only play 1 rescue stretcher, so if those do go to the discard pile, he will need to find a way of trying to bring them back into. There's Thunder Mountain again is in the prizes. So yeah, only 1 rescue stretcher if that Lucario GX does fall to the discard pile. But
much better prizes for Philip generally. Apart from that Thunder Mountain, which obviously isn't ideal, he's been able to do pretty well to keep those. He's gotten lucky to have much more workable prizes.
Yeah, it starts out with the Lone Tapu Koko GX though. That's not going to be good. There's a Lone Grimer active as well. What is on the bench there? His cards around. I think there's a Zorua on the bench.
Yes, it is. It is.
Yeah, that is a Zorua on the bench.
One of his 2, which aren't prized, but again, not a great start from. Okay, he has a Lily this time at least, but attaching a fighting energy to a Zora is never really ideal. You want to be attaching that to either a Ditto or a Riolu or a Rockruff. And
yeah, interesting. I mean, I can see the reasons why he's gone for that route. I mean, he wants to try and maximize the amount of cards he can draw with Lily, so that does make sense. The issue is we've seen how many fighting energies does he play? He plays 3 fighting energy. That's one of his 3 fighting energy that he's attached to that Zoroark. So very interesting.
Yeah, he does play the 1 rainbow at least, so it's a total of 4 coloured energies I guess that he has access to, but yeah, still not really ideal. And yeah, that's for Philip's side. He starts off with just looking like benching a Pikachu and Zekrom GX. Oh, he just attached an energy and passed.
Wow. Okay, this is his opportunity to capitalize. I mean, he has to go for. I mean, he's opting to go for the Zoroark GX here, as opposed to trying to get the Lucario GX into play to go for the 1-hit knockout. Zoroark will only be able to do a maximum if it has a choice band. Does he even play a choice band? I believe he does, but let's have a look. There's no choice band in his list, so that's a maximum potential outlet of that Righteous Beatings will only do 120 damage. Unless Philip continues to keep having a bad hand here, this is not, well, I mean, depending on how he wants to play it. Well, actually he has a Lola Muck in hand. If he opts to evolve that Grimer, that means he won't have access to Jirachi as well. That could be another potential player to try and dig your way out of this bad situation with a Jirachi. Does have Pokemon Communication in hand as well if he wants to opt to try and gain some more resources there, but opts to use Trade and throw that Tapu Lele GX into the discard pile. What is Philip working with here? It doesn't look like. Wow, it's not looking good for Philip at this moment.
It's a bit of an interesting line there from Ian. What he could have done is played Pokemon Communication to put maybe the Zora back and opted to evolve the Ditto into a Zora and evolve the active into the Muck instead, so he gets more use out of the Ditto. But wow,
that Muck was a huge play. Philip has just opted to a Tapu Lele GX there, and he is not able to use that Tapu, that Wand Attack ability, because Muck is in play here. You can see how important, how crucial that Muck is in this matchup, and how often Philip is relying on having those basic abilities here. So he's opting to use Guzma, trying to stall him out a little bit, see if that makes a little bit of difference. Zoroark, so he has so many access, or so many ways of trying to retreat, or trying to draw more cards to find a card that will enable him to retreat out of his deck. There is 1 trade. Let's see what he gets there. Is a
he gets the rainbow energy!
So he can use the rainbow energy and Acerola if he chooses to. So there goes trade. He had 2 Acerola. There's a switch as well, so he has that. So he's probably looking to conserve that rainbow energy and just go straight for a switch and try. Does he have means to? He has. I'm just looking at his hand. Does he have means to get a Lucario? Yeah, no, I don't believe he does.
No, I don't believe
he has a. Well, he has Lily in hand. He hasn't used a supporter for the turn, so he could opt to go for Lily if he wants to. That might be a way of trying to draw. So there's one. There's a rainbow there on the bench Riolu, so perhaps that's what he's thinking. The Ultra Ball there, so he's got all the pieces of the puzzle here. Ultra Ball will search him out the 1 copy of Lucario GX he has in his deck because the other one is prized, and then he will switch out and get the knockout on this Pikachu Zekrom GX. And I mean, it's looking pretty bleak at the moment for Philip.
Yeah, it really is, and I mean that is the thing. Obviously, he could have attached the Rainbow Energy to the active Muck done Acerola to just retreat, but by going this route instead, he was actually able to play the Lily instead of the Acerola, find himself off the means to get that Lucario, and with the energy in his hand, he can just take a knockout on this Pikachu and Zekrom.
Right, and it'll be interesting to see what Philip tops here, because, I mean, if he doesn't get something soon, this could mean a lot of trouble for him. There goes Switch, as we predicted. That will have the added effect of Aura Strike, which knocks out that Pikachu Zekrom GX. And Philip is just acknowledging that, there's not really too much he can do at this moment in time. He's just going to have to concede the game. There's still plenty of time on the clock to find a winner in this series.
We have more time for this single game currently than normally you do in Swiss for the best of 3.
Right, we've got a full Swiss round here, if you want to call it that. Still a full match to play, and only one round to play here. So, but congratulations on both players for getting this far into the tournament. They both are currently at 1-1 at the moment. Philip just lost that game, meaning that he'll go first. That's going to be a big advantage, I think, because Adam does rely on evolving his Pokemon. That will require at least one turn to do so. So, it's difficult to say how this match will go. You've seen how useful, how important those Lucario GXs are in this, especially considering that Philip does play 3 Pikachu Zekrom GXs in there. So it's not as if he can kind of rely on Zapdos to, soak up a little bit of damage and to try and utilize the fact that it's resistant to fighting type Pokemon. He's just utilizing Pikachu Zekrom GX here as well. So high risk, high rewards, but yeah, it's a case of seeing how this goes in this next round.
Yeah, in that game, really, it was really more Alolan Muck. I mean, as we saw there, actually, Philip did find it out. He did draw into that Tapu Lele GX, but because Ian put that Muck down, it just meant that Tapu Lele meant nothing. And, of course, he was just left to pass again, and Ian was able to find a means to do the Aura Strike with the extra damage to knock out the Pikachu Zekrom. And from then on, Philip just decided, no, there's not much point even carrying this on. Let's just go to game 3.
Right, and you've seen how important this, over the course of the tournament, actually, not just this matchup, but we've seen a lot of Alolan Muck featuring in these typical kind of these these Zoroark builds here. They just do so much for you. I mean, it stops Ditto, for example. It stops Jirachi, stops Tapu Lele GX, and it just puts in so much work, even against things like, for example, Tapu Koko GX, for example, stops that happening, all that shenanigans. Just a very, very important card in this deck to try and slow down these Pikachu Zekrom players.
Right, we have another update from the rest of top 8 for you guys. So it does look like Andre is currently 1-0 up over Philip Schultz, currently in the other top 8 games. One of the other top 8 games. Again, we'll keep giving you updates as we get them, as the other top 8 matches progress. But in the meantime, we are ready to kick off with game 3 of our feature match here on the main stage. And looks like we'll be starting off with a Nest Ball.
There we go. There are the prizes. There's only one Zoroark in there. That's some pretty workable prizes, I think. There's nothing really too detrimental in there that's going to really hinder Iron's setup here. So I think that he'll be very happy with that. And his Zoroark is actually on the bottom of his prizes. So if he takes his prizes from the bottom, he will most likely draw into that. So that's pretty good prizes for him. On the flip side there, Wobbuffet is prized. There's one of his Pikachu Zekrom GXs, one of his Electro Powers. So that Ditto is free at the moment to evolve as it pleases. He won't have to worry about Wobbuffet going down. Obviously, Iron won't have access to that information, but still, it's he'll be able to get that Ditto out and evolve it as he chooses to do so. So
yeah, the rest of his prizes aren't too bad, but yeah, just having that Wobbuffet in there means that you don't really have that sort of safety measure against, just if you afford, Iron that flexibility, it can be a real detriment, because it means that you can just put down a Ditto and then decide later, what's the best attacker for this situation, or the best thing to evolve for this situation, be it a Alolan Muck or whatever else, but not really going to be able to have access to that. But he still has a fairly decent start here. He has what looks to be is that a Rainbow Rare Pikachu and Zekrom GX?
That is. It's very shiny, quite difficult to see on camera, but yes, that is indeed a Pikachu Zekrom GX. And as you can see, he's just benched another Pokemon on the bench that utilizes an ability that's very important for his deck that will be shut off if Alolan Muck comes into play, which is that Zero Aura GX, which gives us all of his Pokemon free retreat if they have a lightning energy attached to them. So there is a Lily opting to get the maximum 8 cards here on his first turn. Let's see what he has in his hand. There is a Zapdos in his hand as well. That might be quite useful to start utilizing very early on. Has a free retreat there. As you can see, he's just switched out because of that Zero Aura GX and uses Stellar Wish with his Jirachi. So let's see what he gets off that. There is one choice band there. He knows he's seen a lot of. There's 2 Lysander Labs in Iron's deck there. I believe he saw both of those past the first two games there. So he will have access to that information, knowing that if he does decide to get choice banned, that there are some Lysander Labs in there that will shut that down. But at the moment, Obs to go for Ultra Ball instead. So let's see what he conjures up here.
Yeah, another update for you guys on the rest of the top 8. So it looks like Alex Silva and Rahul Reddy are currently tied 1-1. So again, another really close series over there in the rest of the top 8. No other sort of victories or defeats just yet in the top 8, but it looks like some of these other matches in the top 8 are getting closer to being absolute nail biters.
As you can see, there is a skateboard on that Jirachi, so it's a really good setup here. Unfortunately, he can't attack because he has attached already to the Pikachu Zekrom, but a Zapdos might have been a viable attacker at this point to try and get a knockout.
He went first.
Yeah, so that would have been a viable option, but unfortunately it's not because he has attached and obviously he was going first. So now we pass over to Iron here, who chooses to go for the Nest Ball. Let's see what he opts to go for here. He's probably going to go through his deck and try and see what is prized there. This is a point in the game where players decide to use this point in the game to try and access the contents of their deck and work out what is in there and what is not. A lot of these experienced players will know in and out exactly how many copies of every card they play within their deck, so they can usually work out exactly what's prized here and what's not. Just looking for the notable inclusions, should we say. So, but yeah, going through the deck, I imagine whether or not he's fearing that Wobbuffet, if he's choosing to not go for Ditto for that reason, just because he's worried that a Wobbuffet might come down and block off that Wobbuffet. So that's one option. Block off that Ditto. So that's one option there that he might be just to go for like a Zora here and try and just to increase the consistency of being able to get through his deck and making sure he gets that Zoroark GX the following turn. Let's see. Or is he opting to go for Riolu here? Okay.
Yeah, he's trying to be proactive about it. I mean, there's an argument you can make either way because, of course, if you want to get that Zora down as quickly as possible so that you can draw lots of cards, have that consistency engine really available to you. And I think the thing that's worked out really nicely for him is that by discarding that Ultra Ball, he's telling me that he has already a supporter in his hand. And, of course, you really don't want to be benching Tapu Lele GX against the Pikachu Zekrom deck because, of course, that Tag Bolt GX, the residual damage, if you can get the extra free energy on, does 170 to the bench, which is exactly enough to knock out a Tapu Lele GX.
Right, and regardless of what that Nest Ball search was, he did go for an Ultra Ball straight after, so he was able to find 2 searches from his deck. He has gone for the Ditto with the Almighty Evolution ability there, so he will be able to evolve that freely in the next turn. So he's not he's playing very cautiously here, assuming that his opponent doesn't have a Wobbuffet. We know he doesn't because it's prized, but also that Ultra Ball has a second effect here, which is that is lessening his hand size here, which is able to maximize that Lily and draw until he has up to 8 cards.
Yeah, that's a really massive Lily turn 1 there. Really, really great start from Aryan, and he draws himself another Nest Ball and a Rockruff as well, so now he'll be able to get a Zora down as well and set up his bench really nicely, get a really solid start to this game.
Yeah, there's another Nest Ball there, so he gets his one Zora there, so he will have access to, depending on which way he wants to go, he will have access to 2 Zoroark GXs the following turn if he's able to get those into play. I believe he maybe had a Lycanroc GX in hand. I have to wait until he picks his hand back up again and see what he has, but he does have a Lycanroc GX in there as well. There's a Mallow, which he's able to use if he would like to the following turn to try and access some cards that he might need. He doesn't have Zoroark GX in play to draw into them. But there goes a Sleep It for Jirachi. Not really relevant because it does have the escape board, but...
It's a point where Philip doesn't even want to bother twisting the card, but there goes the Stellar Wish. Of course, the Jirachi goes straight back to sleep, and now... It looks like he has a few options to pick from. He has a Nest Ball, he could go for an Electro Power, a couple of different things to choose from. Of course, if he decides to go for, I believe there's a Zapdos in his hand, so if he has Lightning in his hand, he can, yeah, there it is, so he can bench that, attach to it and bring it to the active, and actually take a KO on that Grimer very quickly. It does only have 80 HP, but he might be deciding that it's better to go for, an Electro Power to use later on, even though there's nothing... Even if he doesn't use it this turn, having the option to do it to reach for a KO in the next turn might be something that works out. But nope, just going to go for the Nest Ball.
Yeah, so at this point, it's kind of a case of he's weighing up how detrimental is it to his deck that he makes sure that Muck does not come in play. He can potentially go for the knockout, as you say, with that Zapdos, which would get him, if he uses Electro Power, will get the knockout on this Alolan Grimer here. But keeping in mind, he does have that Ditto on the bench as well, so he does have access, if he chooses to, the following turn to go into Alolan Muck.
Yeah, well, he doesn't even need the Electro Power to KO the Grimer Zapdos because it already does 80 damage, and that is how much HP Grimer has.
Yes, you are correct.
Yeah, but it looks like he just wants to go for the Nest Ball regardless, just go for that second Jirachi. Of course, it's really important that you have access to as many Stellar Wishes as possible, given that you want to make use of them before the Alolan Muck comes out. And we actually do have an update for you. Our first winner in top 8 for you. It looks like Gustavo Wada has defeated Brent Tonneson. So Brent Tonneson is out of the top 8.
Yeah, and we can just see here, just going for the Ultra Ball here. Let's see what he chooses to search here. So, sorry, he's gone for the Ultra Ball with the Stellar Wish there. So that is okay. So Ultra Ball there. So he is opting to play the Ultra Ball. Let's see what he chooses to discard. It looks like he's going for Tapu Koko GX. He feels that this is not a card that he will need in this matchup. So that is fine. And also keep in mind, if Alolan Muck does come into play, that Tapu Koko becomes even less significant in this matchup. So so what is the 2 discard? So he's chosen to discard just the 1 at the moment. Just still thinking as to what the second discard will be here.
Yeah, deciding that obviously the Tapu, well not obviously, but he's deciding that the Tapu Koko GX isn't going to bring the most value to him in this matchup specifically, but really struggling with what his other discard is. He has a lot to choose from. It looks like he may be opting to go for that Lily, maybe the Zapdos. Yeah, he does go for the Zapdos. I mean, of course, with the Zapdos, it's one of those things you can actually get back with Rescue Stretcher, so, you know, it's less of a problem in that regard. And he actually goes with the Vital Dancer Oricorio. This is not a card I've seen in a very long time. When you put it onto the bench, it just lets you search your deck for 2 basic energy cards.
Wow, and it's not a card that we've seen at all over the course of this tournament, but as you can see, having some value here, maybe he's just thinking, does he have... I'm trying to see his hand. I believe he has the Tapu Koko Prism in hand there. So he's choosing to go for Ultra Ball to discard those 2 Lightning Energy, which means that even if he doesn't have it in his hand, which I believe he does, he can search it out and use Dance of the Ancient to try and power up one of these Pikachu Zekrom GXs here. So there goes Ultra Ball. He is going for that Pikachu Zekrom GX, which just tells us what we kind of already knew, that he does have that in hand, that Tapu Koko, which he's showing us there. So Tapu Koko is going to use Dance of the Ancient. It goes to the Lost Zone. There are 2 basic energy there, 1 to the Pikachu Zekrom GX, 1 to the Zero Aura GX there. And there's an energy switch, which gets that Pikachu Zekrom GX ready to go. Guzma, he's going for the Riolu here. He's choosing to try and take out that immediate threat of being revenge KO'd here. And in the process, being able to search his deck for 3 more energy and attach them to that bench, which we assume Pikachu Zekrom GX for just to avoid being able to not have an attacker for the next turn.
I mean, it makes a lot of sense, right? Because it's that is the biggest threat that you could really have to deal with. And an important interaction to remember is, as far as I recall, if you evolve Lucario GX from the Ditto, it specifically has to evolve from Riolu to get the extra damage. So actually, the option for Aura Strike is completely taken away for Ian at this point. Wow,
that's a very good point that you've just mentioned there. Yeah, so he does have to actually evolve from Riolu there. So he's not really fearing that Ditto there. So he's not fearing that Ditto could eventually become a Lucario GX and then take the knockout back. So in this point, I mean, in terms of Iron's deck, he doesn't really rely on anything like any kind of energy acceleration, should we say. So therefore, he is reliant on just having manual attachments. So putting 1 energy down and then putting another down. So at this point, you would assume that... yeah, he's just going to have to manually attach, which means that he won't be able to, if he wanted to go down the route of using Lycanroc GX, he does have to wait another turn just to make sure he's able to pull that off, and then would need, of course, a choice band if he wanted to get the knockout, as he would be a little bit short.
Yeah, he could use Dangerous Rogue to get the knockout, then he wouldn't need the choice band, but if he wanted to go for Claw Slash, then yeah, he would need that choice band, otherwise he would be doing 220 instead of obviously whatever would be enough. And yeah, just to double confirm there that I mentioned this earlier, but we had a little bit of a hiccup here. But yeah, Gustavo Wada did defeat Brent Tonneson earlier, so that was the first top 8 result that we have in there for you. So Gustavo Wada will move on to top 4, and so we're now just waiting on obviously our feature match here and the other 2 matches to determine who the top 4 bracket will be.
Right, and so still playing out this match here. We've got 1-1 on the score sheet here, which means there's still plenty of time to find a winner in this match. So I much prefer finding winners as opposed to time being called, and we have plenty of time to find a winner. So very happy about that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, when it comes to the top 8 matches, of course, actually, you can't tie in top 8. I mean, they always have to find a winner somehow.
Absolutely, but it's better that the matches, I always find for me personally, it's better when a match is played in terms of not having to go to sudden death and not having to work. So that's a kind of factor, that's a feature that I really like about these kind of top 8 matches, is the extended time limit for that reason. There goes 1 energy down on the Rockruff. Is he choosing to go with the Lycanroc?
Yes, he is.
Using Bloodthirsty Eyes to bring Wobbuffet to the active.
Oricorio.
Sorry, yes, yes, my fault. Sorry, I saw the Psychic. It's probably Wobbuffet. No, it's not. So perhaps just trying to stall him out a little bit here.
Yeah, and actually important to note that Ian actually used Mallow this turn. Doesn't have access to trade, but he's stacked his deck in a way where obviously he wants to make sure that the next 2 card draws he has are more effective. But there's a Guzma. Wow, okay, so actually, I mean, assuming that Philip can find a couple of Electro Powers, he can get knockout with Full Blitz, or he can just use Tag Bolt GX. He won't get the residual bench damage, but maybe just knock out the Lycanroc is worth using the GX attack on its own without the extra.
Right, I mean, Philip must be thinking that he has to sort of capitalize on this situation. He knows that Iron has not played a single Zoroark GX in this whole game. He's got 1 Zoroark sitting on his bench. He hasn't even played a Alolan Muck throughout this whole game, so he must be kind of a bit hindered in terms of what he can access in terms of the contents of his deck. But, you know, you can see here Philip trying to really apply the pressure, trying to go for that knockout there, which he does get that knockout there. So
he has the choice band, he has the Electro Power, doesn't need to use the Tag Bolt yet, can just go for the Full Blitz and take the knockout whilst also attaching extra energy. What an amazing turn from Philip.
That's a huge turn, and as you can see, he's putting 3 energy there. He's assumably he's going to go down to that Pikachu Zekrom GX sitting there on the bench. That will, or even the active, we'll see what he decides to go with, but that will enable him to there we go, yeah, he's going for the bench Pikachu Zekrom, so that will enable him to use that Tag Bolt GX the following turn and be able to take advantage of the extra ability, which is to the extra effect of the attack, should I say, which is he will get that 170 damage onto something that is sitting onto the bench. Yeah. So huge turn there for Philip.
Yeah, really, really strong, and you can see it as soon as the Choice Band and the Electric Power came down, Ian just sort of shaking his head in frustration. He knows that, you know, that was a really strong turn for Philip, and he's going to have a really hard time coming back from this because he doesn't really have a way to answer this. There's no
short of Cynthia. That's quite big.
It is, but I think it's a case of too little, too late. I mean, he has no fighting type attackers to work with that can take a knockout on this Pikachu Zekrom.
Yeah, no, I was just thinking if he got a Lucario GX, he might be able to evolve that Ditto. But as you said, no, that wouldn't be a factor because obviously it does need to evolve from Aurelius. So absolutely, you're right. Yeah, I think it's just looking a little bit too late here for Iron. We'll have to see if he's able to swing this around in his favor, but I mean the following turn Philip was just looking to use that Tag Bolt GX. He probably will try and take a knockout on 2 Pokemon, well, try and take out a knockout on a GX Pokemon here, which would then be able to knock out something on the bench, and that would secure the game for him.
It's a bit of a tricky situation either way for Ian, because if the only way to sort of stop himself from completely losing next turn is to, you know, not play a GX, but then if he doesn't, he's not doing anything. So, you know, he's really not in a great situation no matter which way you look at it. There's a Zoroark finally.
There is Muck as well, so he's got some Zoros there. He's got a Zoroark GX. He's got a Muck there as well. So is he going to? Yeah, he is going to evolve that.
He has to. He doesn't want to, but he has to.
Yeah, absolutely. And the issue that he has here is that now, yeah, I'm kind of looking at Iron's situation and thinking that if he had a little bit more time, if he had more prizes, less to concede, I mean, there could be a possibility of trying to claw this back. But I just think, as you're saying, Nick, yeah, it is just a little bit too late here. I mean, if he has, I mean, all he needs is 1 Electro Power, 1 Choice Band. That will take a knockout on the active, and then he can take a knockout on something on the bench with that 170 damage that he will be using with that Tag Bolt GX, and that will be the game.
He doesn't even need to. He doesn't even need that. All he needs is either one or the other, because Tag Bolt GX does 200 to the active and 170 to a bench Pokemon. So to knock out the Zoroark, all he needs is, you know, a 1 damage booster onto that bench Pikachu and Zekrom GX. So either 1 Electro Power or 1 Choice Band will do it. Does he have either?
Let's see what he has.
Not yet, actually, so he's going to have to dig for it here.
Right, so he does have a Lily in hand. Is that an Ultra Ball that he's holding back there? He might. Yeah, he does have an Ultra Ball in hand there as well, so he might be able to deck thin a little bit. He can fail the search in an attempt to try and draw more cards with that Lily, and he also has access to. He can try and get his Jirachis into play as well to try and dig more for that additional damage modifier.
The Alolan Muck is into effect, so the Jirachis are not working right now. I think he just wants to attach the energy. He's probably going to play the Ultra Ball, discard a couple of things, maybe even play the switch, just to switch into the Jirachi, just to retreat with the escape board. And then, go for the Lily and hope to find either Choice Band or Electropower just to seal out this game quickly. Although, to be honest, even if he misses, he's so far ahead.
Yeah, I mean, he can play Switch now, switch into that Pikachu Zekrom GX, which he's opting to go with Jirachi here. Has a skateboard, so it can retreat for free anyway. But yeah, opting to just use that Switch to try and minimize his hands as much as possible. I imagine he'll go for Ultra Ball here as well to try and really put the cards down to his hand to maximize that Lily, getting the full 6 cards here to try and search for that Choice Band or for actually no, he's just choosing to go for the Lily. I think
that's Choice Band. That's it. He wins the game.
And that is Choice Band, and he will take a knockout on the active Zoroark GX there.
And anything on the bench.
Choose to knock out something on the bench, and that is the game. And Philip has his game wrapped up here.
Knock out the active bench Pokemon. There's the handshake.
And we have a victor here in our top 8 match. So what a fantastic match we just witnessed there. And as you can see, so many counters to this Pikachu Zekrom deck that we've had over the course of the weekend. And still, it keeps finding a way to make its way all the way here to the top of the tables.
Yeah, big congratulations there to Philip Wiejeski. A really sort of decisive win there. Able to just set up so strong with that Pikachu Zekrom and just really completely relentless and capitalizing on the advantage that he had. Even though he was at a disadvantage in the time matchup, and even though Andre had access or Aryan rather had access to the Lucario GXs, it still wasn't enough because it was just too powerful. I would like to say as well, so in the rest of the top 8 we have just had word that Alex Silva has defeated Rahul already, so that means we already have 3 of the top 4 ready locked in. We're just waiting now on the result of, I believe it will be Philip Schultz against Andre Skubal.
Yeah, and it's incredible. I think one thing that this Pikachu Zekrom deck really utilizes a lot over the course of the weekend is that a lot of these Stage 1 decks, a lot of these Stage 2 decks do take a little while to set up. This is predominantly a basic deck, so it just utilizes the fact that you can get energy onto the board as quickly as possible. There are a lot of high risks, high rewards with the deck, but in general, you can utilize the fact that if your opponent misses a turn, you can capitalize on it by trying to attack much more quicker and much more faster. So, and that's evidently what's happened here. As you can see, that Pikachu Zekrom deck that we just saw utilized the fact that Ian was unable to, for example, in that first game, try to get that fighting energy to put onto his Lucario GX. He missed that, and Philip was able to capitalize on that. So, but yeah, congratulations to both players on that. It was an exciting match to feature here. So Philip will be advancing to the top 4. So what an achievement to come all the way to the top 4 of this huge international event. We should say, though, on the other hand, Ian, this is his first international event, and he's come all the way here and made it to top 8 here. So huge congratulations on his first international event, coming to the top 8 here in the European International Championships.
Yeah, there's absolutely nothing to hang his head about when he sort of goes home tonight. This is, like you said, his first international event. The fact that he was able to make it all the way to the top 8 at his first time trying internationals. I mean, I've never made top 8 at internationals, period. So, he's got a lot to be proud about himself, and just some unfortunate draws there meant that Philip was able to capitalize on that advantage. So, yeah, huge commiserations to Ian. I'm sure he'll be very pleased about his first international championship result.
Absolutely, and this is probably the first of many for him. I'm sure he will come back to these bigger international events and do well again. I'm sure he, has gained a lot of experience, a lot of knowledge, and that's effectively what the Pokemon trading card game is coming to these huge tournaments and gaining the experience of competing in them. I mean, it can be pretty tough sometimes, but the rewards are huge for competing here.
Yeah, they really are, and that's, I believe, we've just gotten word. Yes, we are ready now to have an interview with Philip on the main stage, so he can tell us about his experience. So please, over to the main stage.
Thank you very much, Nick. Yes, we are here with Philip. He's just won his top 8 game, now progressing to the top 4 with that Pikachu and Zekrom Tag Team GX deck. There are 4 of them in the top 8, and you've just managed to progress, defeating a Zoroark, Lycanroc, Lucario build. Talk us through that series, because, man, I mean, especially in that game too, that must have been scary.
Yeah. So in game 1, I got a pretty good setup. And usually when I get a good setup against Zorak Lucario, I can pressure them so much that they can continue to draw into all the pieces they need to continue to get knockouts. And then it turned out to get really close, but I top decked to Guzma in the final turn, so that was nice. Game 2 was like a brick, that happens well. And then in game 3, yeah, you saw it was pretty straightforward. So I'm happy to beat all the Zorak Lucarios I played against this tournament, so it's one of my better matchups.
Yeah, that's great to hear. I mean, the Lucario is added into the deck alongside the Lycanroc to try and make it closer. It's great to see that you found a way to continually defeat that matchup. Now that you're in top 4, I mean, it's incredible progress already. But talk a little bit about your progression and how you tested for this tournament. How do you get to this top echelon? And what was your preparation like to get here?
So I played a League Cup and did really bad with Pikarom, so I decided I didn't want to play the VADA version anymore and wanted to shift more to a turbo version. And I tried to find a consistent way to build that, and Oricorio was pretty good. With the Mysterious Treasure you get turn 1 full blitz a lot of the time, and then I just tested from there and the list works out, so yeah.
Yeah, that's some really nice synergy you do have with that Mysterious Treasure. Gustavo, of course, he's doing really well as well. He's found a way to make his own deck list work, but Pikachu and Zekrom, definitely an archetype to be feared in this format. Was it always going to be the deck you were going to play for this tournament?
Yeah, definitely. I've been playing this deck for most of the format now, so yeah, I really like it. I think it's the most powerful deck in the format right now.
Yeah, thank you very much then, Philip. We're going to go to a short break now until we get into our top 4 matches, and we'll be seeing Philip there.
Hello everyone and welcome back to the International Championships here in Berlin, Germany. We've had a fantastic weekend so far. We are going into the top 4 now. We just had our feature match. My name is Jamie Serhan and I'm joined by my wonderful co-host, Nicholas Pearce. Nick, how are you doing?
I'm doing great, Jamie. How about yourself?
I'm doing very good. Very excited to see, to crown a new champion here. We've had a lot of Pikarom over the course of, Pikachu Zekrom GX that is, over the course of this weekend. It looks like we're going to be featuring a bit more of that. We still have some more to feature. So we're currently going into the top 4 and we will see what feature match we have. We have an idea, but we're just waiting for confirmation before we announce that. So, but yeah, what did you think of the previous match, Nick? How did you feel that fared? The Zoroark GX with the Lycanroc.
Well, I mean, it's like you were saying before when the match ended, it just seemed like Aryan wasn't able to find much of anything. You know, in theory, he should be favoured. He has the answers to take out a Pikachu and Zekrom GX in one hit with the Lucario, but he just wasn't really able to get anything going, unfortunately.
Yeah, and that's the thing. He has so many counters to this deck. In his deck, I mean, he has so many counters to Pikachu Zekrom. I mean, there's, for example, Zoroark, which gives you the added consistency. You have Lycanroc, which is able to get things up from the bench. You have Lucario GX, which, when evolved from the Riolu, will start hitting big numbers and knocking out opposing Pikachu Zekroms. And even Muck, to top it off, to stop things like Tapu Lele, to stop things like Zeraora, to stop things like Jirachi as well. But still wasn't able to find an answer to that. That Pikachu Zekrom deck is still proving to be the most powerful deck over the course of this weekend. Yeah, absolutely. And because of it, we now have our top 4 locked in. So we will be having, we're actually going to be featuring both the top 4s. So, all 4 of these players are going to sort of get featured on the main stage. But our 2 top 4 matches will be, I do believe, Gustavo Wada against Andre Skubal. And then on the other side, we just featured a Filip Yudieski. He will be going up against Alex Silva. So those will be that is your top 4 bracket essentially. Perfect. And yeah, as you can see here, looking at the brackets we have here, we can have a look here on one of the slides. We can see here the bracket is, we've got Alex Silva here against Philip. Philip was just the person we featured on stream just now. Another side of things, we've got Gustavo against the other Philip Schultz, on the other side. So we've got a very... actually, I want to get confirmation on that because we had word before that Andre had beaten Philip, but Philip was the one showing on the bracket there. So we're just going to make sure to check which one is right because we had a sort of conflicting reports on that. So we'll get back to you as soon as we hear about that. Sure. So yeah, still to work out confirmation on that. But let's have a look as to what decks have made it all the way here into the top 4. So while we're waiting for Andre, we can see Gustavo was playing that, again, Pikachu Zekrom build, which we've seen a lot over the course of this weekend. He is playing, going with 2 Pikachu Zekroms here. He's gone with just the 1 Wobbuffet, and he's gone with 3 Zapdos, I believe. So he's looking to go for the more having answers to things like taking very quick prizes very early on, using things like Switch, using things like Escape Rope, Guzma to get it into the active spot, and just having that escape board on Jirachi just to make sure that you're able to get that maximum effect of Thunderous Assault. So, and actually Gustavo has featured twice on stream over the course of this weekend and has won both feature matches. Yeah, I mean, generally speaking, I think if you want to talk about sort of the country story of the European Internationals, there's really been Brazil. Yeah. There's been, the dominant force here, with both Alex Silva and Gustavo Wada making their way into the top 4. 2 of Brazil's undoubtedly best players, and they managed to advance all the way into the top 4. Latin America, by punching up strong and punching in there and making a great showing here in Europe. Right, it seems to be a lot of, at the moment, we are waiting for confirmation, but if it is the case that Philip has won that feature match, it will be the Brazilians against the Germans. Yes, it will. We're looking at the moment. Yeah, and looking across the board, again, we have, let's have a look at Alex Silva, who is playing, he's going for that Zoroark GX deck, the Zoroark GX with Lycanroc. Let's see. He is the only Zoroark left in the field. There were 3 in the top 8. 2 of them were defeated, so the last hope for Zoroark rides with Alex Silva right now. Right, and I'm just looking through his list. Let's see if he plays a Lucario GX. I believe he doesn't. He doesn't, but he does play. This is a cool little tech. I was actually talking about this with him earlier. And we even saw it briefly on the stream. He plays the other Lycanroc GX, the one with that ability that when you evolve it up from, when you evolve up, you get to discard an energy attached to your opponent's active. Very reminiscent of the Crawdaunt from Primal Clash. Right, the Twilight Eyes ability. Yeah. Right, yeah, and that not only has, that has 2 effects for you, and that does kind of disrupt your opponent if you want to evolve and take energies away. Not really too helpful against Pikachu Zekrom. I don't think because they are so used to spamming energies in their deck so quickly. But it does have the added attack, which does, I believe, 120 damage, which double weakness on Pikachu Zekrom does get you the knockout. So
yeah, another solid attack in and of itself.
Exactly, and that that in itself is a. For example, if you have Rockruffs in your deck anyway, that gives you options if you want to evolve into which Zoroark GX that you want to evolve into, depending on your choice there.
Yeah.
So
yeah, not only that, but again, talking with Alex yesterday, he mentioned that sometimes the GX attack can also take people by surprise as well. It does 30 damage times the number of energy in your opponent's discard pile.
Right. Yeah. So, I mean, on this, it's a tricky situation because a lot of these Pikachu Zekrom players like to try and get energy into the discard pile so they can utilize it with that Prism Star Tapu Koko. Those energies then go onto your bench, but if they don't go on your bench and that's sitting in your discard pile, that Lycanroc GX can come out and do some pretty big damage for sure.
Yeah, not only that, but I mean, even if those energies stay on, say they go onto Pikachu Zekrom and then one gets knocked out, for example, that's if you've got one that's just been full blitzed onto, taking another free energy on it, that's 6 going in the discard pile. That's 180 damage going into the discard pile essentially that you have to worry about.
Yeah, so as you can see, he's chosen to go for the more, I guess when you have things like Riolu, when you have things like Zoroark, when you have things like Rockruff, there's a lot of basic Pokemon you have to get down, including that Grimer as well, that Alolan Grimer if you want to get Muck out. So he's opting, in this case, he's deciding that take away one Riolu, take away, kind of try and be a bit more versatile in your deck, and that's why he's opted to go for that. But it'll be interesting to see how that plays out. I haven't seen so far yet. I've not yet seen one Lycanroc GX with that Lycanroc with the Twilight Eyes ability yet. So I'm very excited to see that come up.
Yeah, absolutely. So we can see there both players, not both players, one of the players has made their way over the feature table. I can see here Gustavo Wada, so we will be featuring him first. He is shuffling up, getting ready to go, and up against him it will indeed be. That looks a lot like Philip Schultz.
Yeah, so it's going to be, I think, here a bit of a mirror match, I believe. So Philip is playing, they're playing more or less identical decks, a couple of techs there, I think. But let's have a look at Philip. So, yeah, I believe they're playing very, very similar decks.
Yeah, so we got the list right here. So yeah, both playing Pikachu Zekrom. So we'll see a Pikachu Zekrom mirror match here.
Right. So Philip has actually decided to go a bit more heavy with the Pikachu Zekrom GX. He's gone with 3 copies as opposed to Gustavo's 2 copies there. Philip has gone with 1 Zapdos, whereas Gustavo has gone for 3. I'm really looking forward to this matchup. I'm really interested to see which way this is going to swing here.
It's one of the interesting stories of the weekend, actually, because, of course, we have seen Pikachu Zekrom be a very present force in general, but the slight tweaks in the builds have been, the different counts and such have been very, very interesting.
Yep, and sometimes it's those small margins that make big differences. I mean, you can see here, for example, in Philip's build, he's choosing to play Absol. He's got 1 Absol and 1 Wobbuffet. Gustavo does not play... I can't see here an Absol, so he does not play an Absol. He does not play a Wobbuffet either. But does Philip play? He plays 1 Marshadow, so very interesting to see the difference in variations of this unique this unique deck that we've seen over the course of this weekend.
No, sorry, I'm wrong. He looked different from above. It is actually Andre on the right. There we go. We finally have confirmation as to who actually was. Apologies for the little mix-up on the bracket there. So, it will be Andre Schoolbell.
Yeah, so we've got here Andre against Gustavo. So Philip then, so ignore everything we were saying. We've got Andre there. So let's have a look at Andre's deck then. So Andre is playing that, he's going for Zapdos Beast here. So it is a little bit different from the traditional Pikachu Zekrom. He's not playing Pikachu Zekrom in his build. He is choosing to go with Zapdos there. 3 Zapdos. He's got Buzzwole there, which is going to be a big deal in this matchup because he's wanting to try and take knockouts on that big Pikachu Zekrom GX, which we have seen over the course of the weekend be quite prominent. 1 Marshadow, 1 Tapu Koko GX.
Yeah, but let's have a look at the Gustavo Wada's profile here, as we've already mentioned a couple of times. So in the junior division in 2011, I remember this was roughly when I started playing competitively, world champion in the junior division, and look at those other accomplishments as well. He's won Brazilian Nationals 3 times, he's top 8 at Worlds and Masters as well. That was the same year where I came 9th, which of course I've never brought up ever in the history of my life.
I think me and Carl were talking about that just before, so sorry to bring that up.
But happy for him obviously, and then top 8 at the North American Internationals as well. An extremely decorated player.
Absolutely, and a very experienced player, which is why he's come all the way here. Again, still looking for that international title to his name. So that's why he's in top 4. He's only 2 matches away from getting that title to his name. A very credited and well-deserved title he could earn if he wins 2 more matches there.
Yeah, absolutely. Very, very close to it, and he's going to be very, very happy about that. This will be now his best internationals finish, because also given that his previous highest was top 8, you know, it's going to be pretty happy just to reach top 4 alone, but he will have to take down Andre Skual if he wants to make his way there. And yeah, as we mentioned, this is the one deck that has made it through to top 8 which wasn't either Pikachu Zekrom or, you know, or Zoroark Lycanroc, because he is playing this Zapdos Ultra Beast, sort of more, you know, straight focusing on Zapdos variant.
Right, and as you can see, there are the prizes there. There's one Thunder Mountain there, there's Wobbuffet there, so yeah, nothing really too detrimental. There will be interesting to see what prizes here Andre has, yeah.
Before we do, let's have a look at his player profile. So you got no slouch himself. We can see he's a former Czech Nationals finalist. He got several top 8s at the Harrogate Regionals 2018, at the Torino Special Event, and at the Liverpool Regionals as well.
Yeah, and he's playing this, as you can see here, he was seed number 2 going into the top 8. So as you can see here, he is playing the Zapdos variant. So 2 very experienced players here, battling it out to try and get in to that final tomorrow. So we will see how this goes. There are his prizes: 1 Blitzel, 1 Jirachi, Cynthia.
Then again, nothing
really,
too bad.
Nothing really too that is going to disrupt him for setting up. So we should have a pretty clean game here in terms of trying to play out the full match here. So,
and there's the handshake. We are off everyone. This is game 1 of top 4, the first top 4 match, and it looks like Andre will be going first. Starting off with that Jirachi, just goes straight for the ability.
I think the camera opened up with that Jirachi on sleep, actually, maybe. So, but yeah, is going for. There is Lily. So he's choosing to go for Lily. That is a
strong find.
Your ideal starter, you would have to say, in this matchup. But how much can he decrease his hand size here? There is 1 Nespal, so that's why he's opted not to shuffle his deck, because he knew that he was going to go back into the deck. This is his opportunity to find out what is prized, what are the contents of his deck, which is what he's choosing to do here. So
yeah, he's going to look through, and he's going to end up pretty happy as he realizes, yeah, actually pretty much most of my vital pieces are, you know, in the deck. I don't have to worry too much about changing my game plan drastically. He's just going to, you know, keep on keeping on and just do the same game plan that he's managed to do to get himself all the way here to top 4.
Right, and one big deal actually is Gustavo is playing 3 Zapdos himself. So I mean, this could be a bit of a Zapdos war to begin with. So if that is the case, if that is the route that both players decide to go down, that means that these Electro Powers are going to be very important in this matchup. So there is Buzzwole going down there, which has a Sledgehammer attack. So that is just going to cause added pressure on Gustavo. He's going to be worried about the amount of prizes that he is taking and conceding, just to avoid that Buzzwole responding and being able to knock out his big Tag Team GX Pokemon.
Yeah, this is the key here. Assuming, you know, the game progresses as you think it usually would, you know, leading with Zapdos, Gustavo, and then, you know, having to, once he runs out of Zapdos, finishing off with that Pikachu Zekrom, that Buzzwole that on the bench just makes it a lot more threatening for Gustavo to have to deal with, and that's one of the reasons why the sort of, you know, Zapdos-focused version of this sort of Lightning-type deck, where you just play Jirachi and Zapdos and you play zero Pikachu and Zekrom GX, is adapted to include this Buzzwole now and these other Ultra Beats, because it gives you that extra little push over the edge that you need to fight the pure power of Pikachu Zekrom.
Right, and I was just thinking to myself, why is he only playing 3 Zapdos as opposed to playing 4? He plays 2 Rescue Stretcher. So even if that Buzzwole does go down, if Gustavo thinks to try and target that Buzzwole and to knock that Buzzwole out, he plays 2 Rescue Stretchers. So he has 2 outs to trying to recover that Buzzwole. So that Buzzwole is not going to go anywhere anytime soon. So it's a huge threat from Gustavo's side.
Yeah, I really like the way he's done this as well. It's very clever. But by playing opting for a higher Rescue Stretcher count instead of a higher Zapdos count, he increases his chances of starting with Jirachi. He's playing the full complement of 4 Jirachi, and, you know, the more games you start with Jirachi, the happier you're going to be, because you just get, you know, you just get your Stellar Wish off more often turn 1. You're more resilient against Marshadow if you go second. It's just the best starter you have, hands down.
As you can see here, because he's played 2 Stellar Wish already in this opening turn here. He's gone for that Electro Power. I believe he drew Lily from the first Stellar Wish, decided to retreat that Jirachi, and now is going for that Stellar Wish again to get that Electro Power. He played an Escape Rope before that, which obviously has no effect on Gustavo, because I've just seen that dice roll just off camera, but that Jirachi does wake up, so that it indicates it was ahead. But yeah, has no effect on Gustavo because he has no bench Pokemon. So let's see how Gustavo opens up here. What is his approach here? What, does he go down the Zapdos route, or does he decide to go straight for the Pikachu Zekrom?
I think going for the Pikachu Zekrom this early could be a little bit risky. He knows that he's going to have a really hard time avoiding getting to a spot where he's on 4 prizes remaining. And once he gets to that, of course, that Buzzwole can come in with the Sledgehammer attack for 1 fighting energy and take a 1-hit knockout on a Pikachu and Zekrom GX. So he's got to be very mindful of that, and he might decide to just go for the Zapdos route first, and maybe if he needs to later on finish off the game with Pikachu Zekrom. And indeed, he just goes for the Guzma, brings up the other Jirachi just so he can get that switch in, and goes for his own Stellar Wish.
Right, exactly. And yeah, exactly as I was thinking, yeah, if he does decide to go for that Pikachu Zekrom GX, if he decides to go down that route, the issue that he has of that is just fearing that Buzzwole. And that's, I mean, that Buzzwole is such a huge presence in this format. It's not just the fact that it can attack with Sledgehammer, it's just knowing that it's there. That in itself is something that he has to play around hugely in this matchup. But there goes a Skateboard on the Jirachi. Is able to retreat that and then use Zapdos's Thunderous Assault, which does get the knockout on the opposing Jirachi. So Gustavo has taken 1 prize and is leading this, but this can change very, very quickly.
Yeah, first prize of the game goes to Gustavo. Can't argue too much with that. It really is a nice, strong start. Not only taking the first prize, but denying an extra Stellar Wish from Andre's side as well. So now it's up to Andre to respond in the best way he thinks is possible. He does find a couple of decent things off of that Stellar Wish. He finds himself a Nest Ball and a couple of other things which I can't quite see right now, but he does go for the Nest Ball. Wants to find himself another basic Pokemon. Maybe even could consider getting that Blitzel out just to improve his draw engine.
Right, and that's a key fact there is if he does get Blitzel out and he is able to set up Substriker, he will be able to use Sprint, which is an enabled draw engine in itself, on top of the fact that he is using Stellar Wish. You can see he does have the Electro Power in hand because he was able to draw that the last turn when he used Stellar Wish. So with that switch, I believe Gustavo knocked out that Jirachi with the Escape Board last turn, so he has to find another Escape Board or use a switching card, which he does have in his hand. That will enable him to bring up that Zapdos, and he's able to use that Electro Power that he found on his last turn through Stellar Wish to take the knockout on this opposing Zapdos active.
Going for that Nest Ball, which he got off the Stellar Wish now, does indeed put that Blitzel down on the bench. And like you mentioned earlier, Jamie, it's very important that the Electro Powers sort of come in for both of these players, because the Zapdos, when it comes into the active doing the extra damage, it only does do 80. You need that Electro Power to do the extra 30 damage required to knock out the 110 HP Zapdos. So very important that Andre found that last turn, and I imagine we'll see him just play down that Electro Power, and Thunderous Assault will take the knockout.
Right, and that will, as I said, take the knockout. And it's just, I think Andre is playing this very, very well indeed. And the fact that he's just being very conservative, and knowing that as long as that Buzzwole is sitting on the bench, that he will be able to just have the Sledgehammer KO should that Pikachu Zekrom GX come in the active spot, subject to price counts, of course. But at this moment, I feel that if you look, for example, Gustavo's list, is he playing a Rescue Stretcher? I believe he.
So the cards in Portuguese. So let me look at that one for you.
That might be pretty helpful if you can do that.
I believe it should be Makaji Hizgachi in Portuguese. I don't think I see one. No, I don't think I see one.
Okay, so if he doesn't play a Rescue Stretcher, that would mean that once those Zapdos go down, he will have to find an alternative attacker here, whereas Andre, on the other hand, has 2 Rescue Stretcher in his deck. But Gustavo is going for a Let Loose here. He's putting Marshadow down and enabling him to draw an additional 4 more cards once he's shuffled his hand back into the deck. This also applies to Gustavo as well. So
Yeah, I've just had to scan through, and unless I can't see for whatever reason, no, there is no Rescue Stretcher in Gustavo's list.
Right, and that could be a big deal because I think this is Gustavo's second Zapdos that he has. He has 1 more after this. He is playing a heavy line of Zapdos. What he's not playing a line of is any kind of recovery that I can see from his deck that would enable him to get more Zapdos back into play. So that means that once that goes down, he will have to start thinking about alternative attackers.
Yeah, he will, and so. Now, Andre, having one last look through, managed to get himself off the Marshadow, went for that Let Loose since obviously he has the KO guaranteed, so he wants to just try and disrupt Gustavo as much as he can. And gets a Lily off of that too, even better for him, so he can refill his hand after that Let Loose. And now the Thunderous Assault can just come in and take the knockout here, and he will be tied, 5 prizes remaining apiece.
Yeah, and as you can see here, Andre does have the Electropower in hand. I believe, yes, is his first card in his hand. So, well, actually, he's played Electropower this turn, but he does have a following Electropower for the next turn, should there be no form of a hand manipulation. So we'll see, and then he can follow up that with a Zapdos here. He's opted to put the energy onto that Marshadow. If that Marshadow does become active, he can just manually retreat it the next turn. So that's a smart play on his side. He'll be able to put that active, retreat that into Zapdos. Zapdos will gain the full effect of that Thunderous Assault. So thinking ahead of the game here, and that's what these experienced players do at these high-level tournaments. They kind of think, at least a good 2 or 3 turns ahead of their current turn.
Yeah, so meanwhile from Gustavo's side we just see what looks to be a Lily. Doesn't play anything off of it yet, but does just go for the Stellar Wish as a follow-up. There's the Electropower, another vital find. So Gustavo keeping pace here. As I was mentioned before, it's important to find one of those Electropowers every turn just to make sure that you're trading knockout for knockout. If this carries on like this, Gustavo currently is in the prize tempo lead. He did take the first knockout of the game, so this is exactly what Gustavo wants to see.
Right, and this, as you can see, is a bit of a back and forth here between, can you find Electropower on a Zapdos? Yes, I can. Can you find Electropower on a Zapdos? But eventually one of these players are going to run out, and as you can see, each player only plays it plays the maximum copy of 4 Electropowers. There are only 4 Electropowers to play, so it just means that you have to keep digging for Electropowers if you want to keep applying the pressure here. But as you can see, Gustavo is being very, very conservative here. He's choosing just to go down the route of his Zapdos. But my fear for Gustavo here is, obviously he knows the deck much better than I do as to how he's opting to choose to play this matchup. But at what point does he start to think that he wants to get another attacker into play? Like after these Zapdos choose, or after they get knocked out, at what point does he decide that he needs to power up something else?
I think he'll be happy with that as soon as he takes another. If he next turn he can take another knockout with Zapdos, then he'll be comfortable benching the Pikachu Zekrom, because then he doesn't have to worry about the Sledgehammer turn anymore. This currently would be the Sledgehammer turn, but there's nothing really that great for Andre to knock out with Sledgehammer. So Gustavo's played it very cleverly. He's taken 2 prizes now, and as long as he can take another knockout next turn, then he can feel relatively safe, or at least more safe, in benching the Pikachu Zekrom and having that as a follow-up attacker.
Yeah, just have to keep in mind, just those rescue stretches will get back that Buzzwole, but you really have to just push past that and try and make sure that it's irrelevant, that he doesn't get the additional damage. And that's a thing that I kind of guess with these decks, is you have to really play around how many prize cards you take and concede with this Buzzwole being here. There's a Guzma. Guzma goes active. Buzzwole hits the active spot too, so he will be going for the knockout.
Yeah,
and that is a knockout on Jirachi.
Well, of course, this is the Sledgehammer. This is what they call the Sledgehammer turn. So, of course, 4 prizes left to Gustavo means that Andre is doing 120 damage to that poor little Jirachi with the attack there.
Right, so once Gustavo does take another prize, that's where the Sledgehammer becomes a little bit irrelevant. That's perhaps what Gustavo is waiting for here, to try and to take another prize before thinking to bench that Pikachu Zekrom GX. That's going to be his alternative attacker post this. Just trying to work out here. He's obviously going to go back into Zapdos here, try and use some Electropowers to go for the knockout here. That Buzzwole has 130 HP, has 1 damage counter on it, that's 120. He will need 2 Electropowers to get the knockout if he chooses to go down that route.
Yeah, he would. He is currently just over 40 damage short with the sort of base damage of Thunderous Assault, but it looks like actually Gustavo's opting to go for his 1 copy of the Marshadow with that Let Loose ability. Maybe you think either because he needs to draw more cards, or he thinks he wants to try and cut down Andre's hand size a little bit, but that is what he's going for. And looks like there's a Tapu Koko GX in his hand as well, but not really going to be able to get much value out of it right now, considering, he's only got 1 energy on the field. Yeah,
there's a Guzma there. He goes for the active Jirachi, and then puts his Zapdos into the active spot, which gets the added effect of that Thunderous Assault, which is why you can see Guzma is so crucial to this deck, and he will obviously get the knockout. But just before he does that, he's going for Let Loose there with Marshadow.
Yeah.
So he's trying to disrupt his opponent as much as possible, as well as as you can see, looking across to Andre's side, he has no. He actually has that Zebstrika in play, so he does have Sprint if he wants to go down that route. He has no more Jirachi after this, so he can't dig for any sort of resources there. But
But more importantly, it's just the fact that Gustavo was able to find the KO here. He's doing exactly what he needs to do to sort of, stay at a good pace in this game. He's able to take the knockout on the Jirachi. The sledgehammer turn is now over. There will be no 120 damage sledgehammers coming in from Andre's side. Gustavo has now, escaped that danger zone, and now he can feel a lot more safe later on and benching that Pikachu Zekrom to eventually close out the game.
Yeah, so played very intelligently, should we say, on Gustavo's side, trying to get around that sledgehammer. I think that was the big deal here, is trying to make sure you play very conservative. You can see, I think in his hand, does he have 2 Pikachu Zekrom GX in his hand? I saw one there. I'm not sure if I saw a second one.
Definitely has at least one, but I'm not sure about the second. That looks to be a Tapu Lele GX in his hand, actually.
Could be. There's some kind of something in his hand that looked like a GX of some sort. But yeah, as you can see, holding back these big GX Pokemon that he has in his deck, these things like Zeraora, things like his Pikachu Zekrom GX, just on the fear that sledgehammer was going to come out and take big prizes, which is something that really he can't afford at this point in the game.
No, he really can't. And Andre's actually having a little bit of a hard time deciding what he wants to do here. He's yet to make a single move. Just brought that Marshadow into the active after the Jirachi knockout, and he drew a Beast Energy for the turn. It could be interesting if he decides to attach that. That means the sledgehammer will be doing 60 damage minus. Oh, he just goes to the sprint.
Oh, wow.
He's got 3 Guzmas.
Wow. What is he searching for here that he needs to discard 3 Guzmas? Wow.
He's got a Jirachi.
There's a Jirachi, which is going to feed him some more things, but wow. That is a big discard there.
Yeah, and for not much payoff either. I mean, he's drawn what looks to be, well, he drew a Jirachi, obviously, but it looks like he's drawn Electropower and a couple of other, is it 2 Electropower and something? Yeah, 2 Electropower right there, and a third card, which I can't quite see right now. So he just has to go for the Stellar Wish. He does find a Lily, so...
He does have a draw exporter for the turn, but, I mean, at this point, what does he need? He needs a Zapdos, Electropower, some kind of switch. I mean, sounds like he's just asking for too much at this moment in time to try and really get a knockout here on Gustavo Zapdos here. He does have the Electropower in hand, so he needs, 3 cards? He needs Energy, Zapdos, and a switching card here. I don't believe he has all of that, so he could try and burn off... there goes Shrine of Punishment, which isn't really going to do much.
That was the other card then, and yeah, Electropower, there goes the Lily.
Yeah, and does not hit those cards that he needs. He has just the 1 Electropower. I can't really see. There's a Cynthia on top, but I can't really see what is underneath all that here. I believe there's a Rescue Stretcher.
Yes, there is. There's an Ultra Ball too, but no means of switching the Jirachi out the active as far as I can see.
All right, he's already paid the retreat cost this turn for Marshadow, so even if he attaches the escape board onto that Jirachi, he will not be able to retreat it. So it just sounds like he's asking for too much at this moment in time. But yeah, I mean... discarding that Guzma, I mean, that was in itself is a way of switching. I mean, he didn't have the Zapdos on bench at the moment, but yeah, not looking too good at this moment for Andre. We're just waiting to see if he can kind of capitalize here, or if Gustavo can capitalize on this. I mean, Gustavo still has, his Zapdos active, and he can take a knockout on this Jirachi here, which would leave him with only 2 prize cards remaining.
Yeah, and I mean, this is bad news for Andre as is, because he was already behind in the tempo taking prizes, and now he's missed the KO as well. So now Gustavo, if he can find a KO, will be even further ahead, and that is not a position you want to be in if you're on Andre's side of the table.
Right, I mean, these decks with Zapdos, these Lightning decks do rely on taking KOs, or at least keeping up with the prize exchange. As you can see here, it's been a kind of clash of back and forth. It's been one player takes a prize, another player takes a prize. Andre has missed a prize here, which means that Gustavo can go here 2 prizes to Andre's 4, which is a big deal. And there goes Tapu Koko GX. He's putting out Tapu Koko GX. There goes 3 energy there. And there is a Pikachu Zekrom GX, which he's hovering. So he has put down. He feels that it's safe now that there is no sledgehammer, that he can put down that Pikachu Zekrom GX, and he will be able to take a knockout here on that opposing Jirachi, which means that he'll only be 2 prizes short of winning this game.
Yeah, you just go for that sky-high claws here, 130 damage, that will be enough for the knockout. Don't even need to use that GX attack. Of course, that Shrine of Punishment being down means that he will take 10 damage from it between turns, same on that Pikachu Zekrom, but, I mean, he's so far out at this point, I'm honestly not even sure if it matters that much.
Yeah, I mean... yeah, I'm not too sure what can be done here. I mean, he does have that Nihilego on the bench there as well.
That's a good point, Gustavo. It is currently on 2 prizes remaining, so maybe that's something that he can get some use out of course. That I think we're able to copy attacks, and in the right situation can be absolutely devastating. But if you can choose any one of your opponent's attacks and copy and use it as his attack, only if your opponent has exactly 2 prize cards remaining.
Right.
But, well, I mean, first of all, you need to find a Rainbow Energy, and second of all, I mean, what would he even copy at this point?
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, he could try and, I mean, well, he's got an Ultra Ball in his hand. He can try and get something with that. There is a Tapu Koko there too, so he can try and use Dance of the Ages to get some energy on the board. The issue is, what does he go with post that? I think he's really struggling to think of some innovative way to try and get out of this situation. There is Tapu Koko, and he's really using up his bench space here too. So there goes a skateboard.
I bet you wish you had that last turn.
Yeah, right. So, yeah, so imagine he'll go for the Ultra Ball here, but he's probably just wondering, what will that Ultra Ball enable him to get at this moment? I'm not too sure if there's anything really. I mean, his deck isn't really. His deck doesn't really use things like high damage attackers, should we say, in this case. So he's not like, he doesn't have any Pikachu Zekrom GX in there, and it's something like that that is going to deal significant amounts of damage here. So his deck is more utilizing the fact that you can just do a bit of damage and then just follow up again the following turn with something like a Guzma, or then getting something up, or something like I've forgotten the name. What was the name? The
GX?
No, Electropower. How did I forget Electropower? I've said it so much over the course of this weekend, and I just forgot the name. So yeah, just utilizing the fact that you two-shot a lot of things, unless you take cheap knockouts on things like Jirachi and Marshadow there. But he's dealing with this Tapu Koko in the active here. I mean, it's not really ideal. He has no like revenge KO. He can't sort of knock out that Tapu Koko GX in one hit, which is kind of where his deck is really struggling.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to sort of work out, because I mean, he does, in theory, he could actually get a one-hit knockout if he were to use the Tapu Koko, attach the two things, and then find the Tapu Koko GX, and use the Aero Trail ability to move it into the active, and with the Choice Band, use Tapu Thunder GX. That would actually work, because there is free energy currently on Gustavo's side of the field, but that would be pretty much the only thing. But he does find the Rainbow Energy, so he could
use Sky High Claws here.
Yeah, he can use the Nihiligas attack, the Nightcap, to copy Sky High Claws. He could copy Full Blitz. There's a lot he could copy actually.
Right. So let's see what he chooses to go with here, and of course he is going to use Dance of the Ancients as well. That goes to the Lost Zone. He will get 2 energy from his discard pile and attach them to his Pokemon.
Yeah, one on Zapdos and one onto the Marshadow, it looks like. But yeah, I'm very interested to see what he actually copies with this Nihiligo. Because if he had a choice band, he'd copy either Full Blitz or Tapu Thunder GX. Probably Full Blitz, then he isn't using a GX attack, and then that would be enough to actually get the KO on the Tapu Koko. Yeah. Oh no, of course it doesn't matter because of the Shrine of Punishment.
Wow. Okay.
So
right.
Yeah. So he completely missed that. So
totally forgot.
Yeah, with the extra 10 damage from that, Full Blitz he can copy and do 150. The extra Shrine of Punishment damage gets the knockout.
Yeah, I completely missed that. So yeah, Shrine of Punishment is in place, so that puts the additional damage counter on there. So that does get the knockout on Tapu Koko, and that's why these players are here, because they can see all these sort of really intricate ways of trying to get knockouts like that, trying to really analyze situations and, take knockouts like that where perhaps we don't see it visible there. Yeah. So yeah, really good, smart play there from Andre. And he's done that again with a 1 prize attacker.
Yeah.
So he's managed to level up the score here.
That's the power of Nihiligo. It's why you play it. Obviously, the ability to copy some of these really powerful attacks for only 1 energy is inherently very powerful.
Right. And because he's tied up the match here, that means that obviously he will not be losing the game next turn because he has no GX Pokemon on the bench. I mean, I can't see a way that Gustavo can use Tag Volt GX for this turn and try and get 2 knockouts that way. That seems really out of reach at the moment. Yeah. So at least for this turn, he knows that he might have a knockout potentially, depending if he has enough Electro Powers, but he will have another turn after this.
The really important thing for Gustavo is to take a knockout on something this turn, either the Nihiligo or one of the things on the bench, because if he doesn't, then the Nihiligo can use Nightcap again and copy another attack, and then at that point he can copy something like the Tag Bolt GX on the Pikachu Zekrom on the bench and do a massive amount of damage.
Right, yeah. So at this point, it's about keeping up with the prize exchange. So Andre, as you saw before, missed taking a prize for that turn that he a little bit earlier, which Gustavo managed to capitalize on. He's able to pull it back here, or has been able to pull it back, which meant that he was able to knock out a GX Pokemon, taking 2 prizes. So he's currently level on prizes at the moment, which is a really significant play at the moment. There is Electro Power with Zapdos.
Very important.
Yep.
So that means that, now we're not only easy manage to take a prize here and sort of prevent that Night League from doing anything, but gives another further prize ahead, and he just takes Night League off the board entirely.
Right, choosing to bench Wobbuffet there. Are there any Prism Pokemon that is worth having at this moment? Is there something that I've missed here? I mean,
I think he might be just benching it just to get it out of his hand. He wants to make sure in case there's a surprise second Marshadow from Andre, something like that. Not that he actually plays one, but it's just something just to make sure that he has that option to deal with, or rather that he doesn't have to just draw it later.
Sure. So here goes with the Zebdrake here to put it in the active. So there is the option of using Sprint if you would like to use that too. What is it? What is that top card that is that Shrine of Punishments?
Yes, it is. Yeah. So he's going to use the Viridian Forest first before going for that Shrine of Punishment. Does he have lightning in his deck? No, he doesn't. Just rainbows, it looks like.
Right, just the rainbow energy in deck, which he can't get out through Viridian Forest. It does have to be a basic Pokemon. There goes a basic energy, sorry. There goes Shrine of Punishments, which means Viridian Forest has to hit the discard pile. And then, I mean, he had such a good turn last turn, but my issue is how does he follow up this turn? I mean, he can take...
I can hear him.
Oh, looks like there might be an issue with the players hearing each other with the headsets.
Okay. So, yeah, it looks like there's some technical difficulties going down on the desk. So
okay, let's say they managed to resolve it now. But, yeah, Andre plays an Electro Power.
But
and it just reveals the hand.
Right.
So, actually, Gustavo will be able to take game 1, and we'll be moving on to game 2.
Yeah, I was just about to say that he can take a knockout with that Zapdos. He had Electro Power, and he could bring that Zapdos to the active spot. Take the knockout on that Zapdos, but then Gustavo, as long as he has the energy in hand, he can just use Full Blitz and take the knockout back, and that would give him the victory, which it has done so there. So congratulations to Gustavo for winning that round. We still have some more time for Andre to claw this one back.
Yeah, absolutely. So game 1 goes to Gustavo there, and it's so there that we kind of see, even though obviously Andre has prepared this Jirachi Zapdos variant with these extra Ultra Beast attackers just to try and have a little bit extra push over the cliff to deal with these really huge Pikachu and Zekrom tag team GXs, it's still not quite enough to finish the job.
Yeah, and evidently so. It's really weird because once you saw in that matchup actually that Gustavo was trying to play very, very conservatively, trying to work. I mean, Andre made it no secret that he has Buzzwole. I mean, once you see Nihilego in the deck, you know that Buzzwole is going to be in there too. I'm sure these players have done research on each other. I'm sure they probably know what the contents of their decks included. But yeah, Andre made no secret of the fact that there was a Buzzwole in there. He put that Buzzwole down very early, trying to threat trying to cause a threat there of that Sledgehammer attack. So Gustavo decided to play a bit more conservatively and try to go down the route of that Zapdos until that Sledgehammer was null and void.
Yeah, and it looks like we've got someone there just working to help sort out the technical issues, just to make sure everyone can hear each other, make things a little bit easier for everyone involved whilst these players shuffle up and get ready for game 2. And well, I mean, really, if you're Andre, you just got to really hope that you're going first here, so you have a chance to get perhaps a slightly quicker setup. Some players who play Zapdos actually opt to go second, even though usually going first is a huge advantage, but because going second, you're still so likely to be able to get off a turn 1 attack with the Zapdos. Sometimes actually getting the first knockout and getting the first damage is worth more, and it's one of the few times you actually pick to go second in Pokemon. Yeah,
it's a case of... I mean, I can certainly see reasons in the mirror match why you might opt to go second. If you are playing against a more Zapdos versus Zapdos deck, if you're playing more against a Pikarom deck, I don't know what the optimal play is there. If you think it's better to go first,
I mean, you have to consider that the version of Pikachu Zekrom that Gustavo is playing, he's playing a very fixed Zapdos count. He's playing 3, so it's clearly something that he likes to lead with, and something that, especially considering he's playing against another Zapdos deck, is a strategy he will lead with if he can. So bearing that in mind, there's something that must be at least going through Andre's mind as a consideration.
Absolutely, and we can see that, over the course of this weekend, we've seen decks that are very more focused on Pikachu Zekrom and are more focused on getting that set up more quickly, using things like Energy Switch, using things like Tapu Koko, Thunder Mountain. But we've also seen a lot of variants that just try, like Gustavo has here, he's opted for 3 Zapdos here. He feels that is the optimal play here. He has access to trying to get that Pikachu Zekrom set up more quickly, but over the course of the matches that I've seen him feature in, he's opted to go with more Zapdos kind of line. He's opted to go down that route of using Thunderous Assault to take a few knockouts to try and soften a few things up, and then go for that Pikachu Zekrom to finish up there. So that's kind of the strategy that I've seen Gustavo use a lot over the course of this weekend. Obviously, I don't know if that is or that has applied to the other matches he's played off camera. I haven't been able to witness that, but
to be fair, he has been on stream a fair bit over the course of this weekend. It's probably a good enough sample size to discern his general strategy playing this deck.
Right. Yeah. I think actually I'm trying to remember who was. So I mean, I caught him on stream yesterday. I think. Perhaps you caught it because I remember you did the interview with him in Portuguese. Actually, I remember. So, so you would have been back, and so maybe it was Carl and Joe that featured Gustavo today. So, but yeah, I was watching a little bit backstage to see his pairings and how he was playing that match, and I think he tends to try and go more Zapdos base to begin with, and then obviously if there is a necessity to have that Pikachu Zekrom GX, if he feels a need to kind of push for that, then he will do so. But yeah, he's choosing to go more Zapdos. He's not playing kind of more, I guess, the Thunder Buddies list. He's not playing Jolteon, and here he's just choosing to go down the route of playing Wobbuffet. He does play the one Tapu Koko GX as well. As I guess it's quite useful just to have against opposing Pikachu Zekrom players. We see a lot of players committing a lot of energy to their Pikachu Zekroms, and that's where Tapu Koko GX comes in. So
yeah, it's very important to sort of have access to that, I think, because it's a very quick way of responding to a Pikachu Zekrom GX threat from an opposing side without having to dig for Electro Powers to KO one with a Pikachu and Zekrom of your own. So it's very easy, very quick to just go straight in with the Aero Trail and do all that, and looks like there's some kind of amusing conversation going on over at the table between our players and the judges.
Yeah, we do have a lot of time still on the clock to try and find a winner in this match. Andre will be feeling that even though he lost the first match, he still has more time to get back into this game and trying to find a try to get back into this tie into 1-1 and to eventually push on to find a winner. But it'd be really interesting to see if this match came down to sudden death and it was a fresh game, who would be the victor in that. Just a case of knockout versus knockout until one player was unable to take a prize.
Yeah, so for full clarity, in case you're just joining us, we are currently waiting on the start of Game 2. There might be some audio issues going on with the headsets right now, and I think they're just waiting for a fix on those before they carry on with Game 2. The judges just coordinating just to make sure that get fixed before, so make sure that everything's all okay before we proceed on to the next game. Of course, the players need to be able to hear each other and need to be able to hear any judges' instructions, so important to get that fixed before we carry on with anything.
Yeah, absolutely. But that will be up and running very shortly, and then we'll get this game underway here. It'll be interesting to know what is going on in the other feature match, but we don't have access to that at the moment, I assume.
Well, that's because we're streaming it next. It's not going on right now.
Oh, my apologies. Right, sorry. So that would be why then. So yeah, that will be the feature match after this. And then, yeah, so... at this moment we're just waiting to set up then. So, yeah, I mean, I don't know, in terms of Andre's side, what does he do differently in this match? Does he kind of hold Buzzwole back, or does he kind of just leave it there as a threat and then Gustavo play around it again, or is this match just in Gustavo's favor, do you think?
Well, it is tricky because... you could say that on paper it's in Andre's favor because he has answers to this Pikachu Zekrom, but the way Gustavo has built his deck and the fact that he has this fixed Zapdos line to lead with means that in theory, if he plays perfectly every single time, he can just go pure Zapdos before he eventually switches into his Pikachu Zekrom, and can after that Sledgehammer turn is no longer a threat. But what if you start with Pikachu Zekrom, for example? Then all of a sudden that goes out the window. So then all Andre needs to do is go for that's Buzzwole and not bench his one Tapu Koko GX to make it possible to skip that turn, because eventually Gustavo had to take 2 knockouts, and then all of a sudden that Sledgehammer becomes a big threat again. So all of it can come down to who starts with what, who goes first, and how the lead few turns that each player has end up panning out.
Absolutely, yeah. And as you can see, I mean, he has 2, let's have a look. So yeah, he has 2 Pikachu Zekrom GX in there. I mean, he has 3 Jirachi and 3 Zapdos in there. So the probability is that he won't start with that Pikachu Zekrom, but I mean, there is every chance that he obviously could as well. So we actually just got confirmation here that there are audio issues down at the bottom. They are having trouble hearing each other over the process of the game. Well, Nick, I'm sure you are more familiar with this than I am playing on these tables. You've featured yourself quite a few times on these feature matches. I actually recall watching one time the stream and you at the World Championships, and you featured on there. It's when you have these earphones on, they're really like sound cancelling, I think.
Yeah, it's really good because obviously, these players are here on the main stage. They're kind of close, especially on this stage we have right here for this weekend. It's a really huge stage. We're so up here. We've got a great view of the whole floor. It's really cool here. But the players, obviously, we don't want them to hear what we're saying because obviously that can give stuff away in the game. So yeah, the way there's noise cancelling headphones to make sure they can't hear the audience reactions as well, and to make sure that doesn't disrupt the integrity of the game, as it were. And yeah, like you said, I have worn those headsets before. They play it's pink noise essentially that they play. So it's very sort of loud, it almost sounds like a sort of staticky waterfall. I think it's the best way I can describe it. And I remember sort of when you take the headsets off, especially, you kind of have to sort of rub your ears a little bit just because it's quite loud. But it definitely does get the job done, and it can be hard if it's not configured correctly to actually hear each other over that. So they want to make sure that the audio line between all the different players is clear and that they can hear each other over that pink noise.
Right, and as you know, when you are in a tournament of this scale, when you have come so far into the tournament here to the top 4, it's really important that you hear every single move and every single action that your opponent declares, just in case there is something that perhaps you disagree with or something that is played incorrectly. So it's really important there that the players are able to communicate with each other. On the basis that, or on the probability that that doesn't happen, we do have 2 judges there on the side there. They are watching the game as well, so they will try and pick up on anything that was missed over the course of the game, any misplays that happened. When you get into a tournament, and when you start to play a tournament and you get into a tournament of this magnitude, sometimes these kind of errors happen. We saw earlier actually cards being played and then irreversible situations happening. You just kind of get so consumed into the match. But we are kicking things off here. There is the prize cam. We see 1 Marshadow in there. That is a Guzma. 2 Ultra Ball, a Nest Ball, and a Lightning Energy. So nothing too detrimental.
That is the only Marshadow he plays, to be fair. So actually, if he wants to do like a Tomato Disruption, he might be a little bit stuck. And there is...
the Buzzwall. Wow.
That is a big deal. So the 1 Buzzwall there being prized for Andre. Once he looks through his deck and sees that, he's not going to be happy.
Right, so that immediately takes away the threat of Gustavo. Gustavo won't know that at the moment, so he doesn't have information to what is in Andre's prizes at this moment in time. So he will assume that Buzzwall is there, and he's going to play very conservatively as he did the last round, just leading with that Zapdos as opposed to trying to go down the route of using Pikachu Zekrom GX. But
I'll tell you what, though, Andres had a really strong start here. He got a Zapdos down, attached to Lightning Energy, played a Cynthia, and now he's seen both a Nest Ball and a Marshadow off of this. So he's going to be able to do a Marshadow, Let Loose, shuffle Gustavo's hand in, and he's going to be able to use Stellar Wish if he has a means of retreating this Blitzle. So it's a pretty strong start from Andre.
Right, and because of the technical issues we've had, there has been an added amount of time on to this match. There'll be some additional time if the players haven't yet completed the series by then. So, but until then, we are playing, and we'll try and hopefully find a winner here. So there goes Shrine of Punishment. There goes for the one Marshadow that he has. He's going...
Or the Let Loose.
Yeah, he's going for the Let Loose.
Yeah. We've had confirmation of the amount of time extension that we have, by the way. It's at 8 minutes. So that's, imagine sort of 8 minutes being added to sort of that clock on the table extension. Unless, wait, have they already added it onto... Okay, so it's already been added onto there. So that is what you're seeing right now is the correct time for the match.
So we have, that would make sense because we were down to about 43 minutes before. So yeah, that would make a bit more sense. So yeah, so we have the total amount of time there for both players to find a winner in this series. So yeah, I'm sure with that Nest Ball search that Andre has just had there, that he would have seen that his Buzzwall is prized. I mean, he's just had access to looking at the contents of his deck. So yeah, that Buzzwall being prized is a big deal. I think it was in the top right, actually, in terms of his prize. I believe it was in the top right or left, which means that if he takes prizes from the bottom, which is normally what players tend to do, it means that he won't have access to that Buzzwall for a very long time. And even when he gets access to it, he might not even be able to use Sledgehammer by that point.
It's a very interesting. Gustavo sort of leads off. The first card he fired off from drawing from that Marshadow, it is an Escape Rope. Andre a little bit undecided as to what he wants to bring up. Does just go for the Marshadow. Gustavo switches around the Zapdos and the Tapu Koko, and he's got the Lightning Energy straight away and the Lily. So actually, he's doing really well off that Marshadow.
Yeah, strong start there from Gustavo. I mean, Andre at this point is considering what does he want to concede in terms of his the bench Pokemon he had. It doesn't want to put Jirachi up because obviously Jirachi will have the added effect of Stellar Wish the next turn, so that's why he'll put Jirachi up now. So Marshadow isn't really doing something at the moment. It's kind of just dead weight on the bench, so he's just figured to put Marshadow up active first, take the knockout on that and promote Jirachi, which means that he can find an escape board and go back into a Zapdos and try and take the knockout if he has access to an Electro Power. But there is one Rainbow Energy, that's one damage counter that goes on that Zapdos. Lily for 6 cards here, or up to 6 cards. Does he get the Electro Power? He does have Sprint, actually, if he wants to go down that route of trying to find something.
Yeah,
but he does have the Electro Power in hand. Okay,
so he's running the Electro Power. Yeah, that's quite important. But now he needs a way to get this Jirachi out the active.
I believe he has Switch in his hand as well, so he can
use it all. Yeah.
Yeah. So he's got the knockout this turn. He's got Switch and Electro Power, which will give him the knockout on this opposing Zapdos here. So and he'll be able to take a prize, keeping up here with the prize exchange, which will tie it at 5-5.
Yeah, he's just determining, since he already has all he needs for the knockout, he's trying to figure out what's best to take now off of this Stellar Wish. He could take another Electric Power for next turn just to make sure that he has the means of going for a follow-up knockout on a Zapdos, as I'm sure he'll want to do. But maybe thinking it might be worth going for something else instead. I mean, his other options are Guzma and Shrine of Punishment. I mean, oh no, sorry, not even Shrine of Punishment, just Guzma, and he actually opts to take nothing.
Wow. It's interesting that he's chosen not to go for the Guzma there. I figured that he might want to try and eliminate those Zapdos from, if next time, assuming that Gustavo will go down the route of promoting Zapdos and trying to attack with it anyway, but, he wants to try to remove the threat of having consistent Zapdos there, so...
there goes the Electro Power down, and the Thunderous Assault with doing 110 damage, exactly enough to knock out Gustavo Zapdos, and the prize is once again tied at 5 apiece, and now back to Gustavo, who fires off straight back with an Electro Power of his own.
Yep, and there goes Marshadow. There's Let Loose there, so he just needs some way of switching that Tapu Koko from the active spot if he's able to get that to the bench, and Zapdos goes active, he will have the knockout again. So as you can see, very back and forth between these players.
And that was a really good find as well, because of course that Marshadow was in Gustavo's prizes. So that means it was like one of the two at the bottom, and he managed to pick the Marshadow as the prize there.
Right, yeah. So, and it's a weird way of, most players generally, I don't know if when they play kind of on the tables, but in terms of playing on stream, usually take the prizes from the bottom, So generally the prizes that are more towards the top, they tend to get a bit later on. In that respect.
It's just an easy hand motion, isn't it? So the natural reflex is just, grab whatever's closest.
Yeah, I remember when I was playing, I tend to try and pick the one that I kind of felt best. I would try to pick one from the top, pick one from the bottom. But I guess on stream, when you've got the prize cam, it's just more practical to take them.
Are you telling me that you're actually secretly a Psychic type Pokemon this whole time and we had no idea?
That is exactly why I'm here, yes.
Wow, mind blown. There you go, folks. New fact we learned about Jamie today.
Yeah, my secrets are coming out on stream here, ladies and gentlemen. But no, I don't know why I did that. I just kind of felt that, that was a thing. I just took a card, whichever one I felt. But yeah, for the practicality basis, players on stream do tend to take the bottom 2 prize cards, which is why that Buzzwole probably will stay in the prizes for a very long time to come just yet.
Yeah, for Andre's side. So Gustavo did just fire off the KO there, just able to, with the Zapdos bringing it into the active and going for, again, that Thunderous Assault with the played Electro Power, knockout onto Andre's active, and now Andre's thinking about what he wants to do to respond. He has a Rescue Stretcher in his hand and an Ultra Ball. Maybe he's debating what he actually wants to discard off that Ultra Ball, and yet that does indeed look like what he's going to play. So Ultra Ball discards, Shrine of Punishment, and...
I think that was the Nihiligo that he's decided to put in the discard pile. I mean, he does have Rescue Stretcher in hand, so if he wants to just recycle that, he can. It's not the biggest deal. And at this point, I mean... Gustavo does have 4 prizes there, so it's pretty irrelevant at this moment in time. And he plays obviously the 2 Rescue Stretcher there, so he might, but he doesn't have anything really to work with. Has he? I believe. Oh, he has. Okay, so he's going for the Rescue Stretcher to put that Nihiligo back into his deck. There goes Marshadow. There goes a Jirachi as well. Yeah, so he does have Escape Rope in hand, so he can go back into the other Jirachi and try and use Stellar Wish if he wants to. That's another option.
Yeah, but pretty much exactly like you said, he wanted to get that Nihiligo out straight back as soon as he had to discard it, and additionally get back the Marshadow. Going to be really important for him. Obviously, sometimes the only thing you can do late game is do a Marshadow Let Loose and hope your opponent doesn't draw out of it, and so having that option available to him will be important.
Right, and I've just completely missed that. He does have Step Striker on the bench as well with Sprint, so he just decided to discard that Escape Rope that he had in hand and just go with Sprint to draw an additional 4 cards. So.
And it has paid off because he has drawn the escape board, so he can now attach that to the active Jirachi and he will be able to retreat. And with the energy on... Oh, he's actually opting to attach it to the bench Jirachi, interestingly enough.
Yeah. So
he has a switch in hand, that's why.
Yeah, so he's going using Lily to draw up to 6 cards. Does this really help him in this situation? Is he?
Well, yeah,
he's looking for.
He needs Electro Power, and he's got it.
Right. Has he got the Electro Power in his hand?
Yeah, he just drew it off the.
Okay, great. Yeah. So yeah, he does have the knockout. I think that's the most important thing is just keeping up with the prize exchange, as we've seen in the last game how important that is. But he was reliant on taking a knockout with a GX Pokemon when he started to fall behind. So, but yeah, so he does have the escape board in hand. He will use that to retreat that Jirachi and go for the knockout here on that Zapdos. And I believe, can't really see Gustavo's side here. Let's just check on the other camera. Gustavo does not have another Jirachi in play at the moment.
Yeah, he does. He has one.
Sorry, Jirachi, Zapdos.
Oh, yeah, no, he doesn't have another Zapdos. No,
I meant to say Zapdos. Yeah, he does not have another Zapdos in play at the moment. So, so yeah, it would be a case of trying to find another one, or don't think he's used all 3 Zapdos at this moment.
No, I believe he's only gone through 2.
Yeah, so he does have an access to another one. I don't remember it being prized either, so it'll be a case of trying to dig that out or try to use an alternative attacker here. But you can see Gustavo here trying to, I think he's really holding on to take the next prize. Once he takes the next prize, he'll probably look to say, okay, that Sledgehammer is not going to come out, that I can start to think about benching Pikachu Zekrom.
Yeah, it's like you said earlier, he doesn't know that
exactly.
he doesn't have the same cast division that we have. We
Yes.
obviously see that the Buzzwole is in Andre's prizes, but Gustavo does not know that, and so very sensibly he's going to play assuming as if Andre has access to it, and that is absolutely the correct thing to do.
Yeah, so that's the issue that we have at this moment in time, is that, yeah, he doesn't have that access to that information, that there is that Buzzwole prize at this moment in time, but we'll wait and see. We'll wait and see what approach he decides to take here. I think there is the Ultra Ball in hand, so most likely going to use the Ultra Ball.
Yeah, so that's that was his choice of Stellar Wish. So
that's right, yeah. So most likely going to take the Ultra Ball, discard 2 things. He's discarding the Electro Power.
Oh, okay.
Wow. Okay, interesting there. I'm curious to see what he goes for here.
Well, he does have the Guzma in hand, so he might be just deciding to get those down. He might just go for the Dance of the Ancients and Guzma out, say, a Jirachi for a knockout.
Yeah, I mean, we have seen Andre in this match. He has used 1 Rescue Stretcher already. So, I mean, but he can recycle. I guess, yeah, I mean, it's probably, yeah, it's a difficult situation in this moment because, I mean, there's 2 Zapdos already, so there is Guzma.
Exactly as predicted, so there it is. Guzma brings up the Jirachi on the bench with the escape board, and that is another knockout for Gustavo, and once again, just completely safeguarding himself against that Sledgehammer turn.
Right. So I mean, at this point, yeah, it's a bit difficult to try and keep up in the Zapdos race with Andre, because Andre plays 3 Zapdos plus the 2 rescue stretches. He will just recycle through all of these Zapdos and just keep streaming them. But from Gustavo's side, as you were saying, Nick, he's just trying to avoid making sure that Sledgehammer that's from that Buzzwole that is stuck in his prizes is not going to become an issue here. But
now here's a big difference as to how this game has panned out compared to game 1. Andre is not missing the KO here. He's got another Electro Power, and he'll be able to take another KO on the Zapdos. So now Gustavo is going to be... he won't have another turn to attack with Zapdos to put on more pressure. Now he needs to switch gears and attack with something else, because I'm fairly sure that's his last Zapdos.
Right, and that Marshadow does have 1 energy attached to it. So he, well, actually has a Jirachi on the bench there as well. So depending on which he chooses to be more valuable, this time he can have the Marshadow active, retreat that for free, or he can just put the Jirachi in the active spot and Stellar Wish with that, and he's just choosing to go with the Jirachi here. So
yeah, there's the Electric Power goes down, Thunderous Assault gets the knockout, and
did he just attach? I think he just attached that skateboard because he's just Cynthia'd.
Yeah.
So that would make sense. So he has free retreat on that Jirachi. Now he's out of Sledgehammer range, so he's able to start to think about using alternative attackers, alternative GX attackers here. So he's thinking, potentially thinking about using, for example, his Pikachu Zekrom GX. He's got Zero Aura in there should he want to go down that route, but I guess he thinks Pikachu Zekrom GX might be the optimal way to go here.
Yeah, interesting. I'm not sure if he actually found anything that useful off of that Stellar Wish. He's got a hand with a bunch of useful trainers in it, but no energy. I think he's missing enough energy to actually do anything worthwhile with his would-be GX attackers, so he hasn't got enough to attack with either Tapu Koko or with... Is he conceding?
Conceding, really?
Wow, okay.
Wow.
Yeah, I guess because he missed the attack, he just thinks to himself, yeah, no point carrying on, may as well just go to game 3.
That's a very interesting decision that Gustavo has decided to go with there.
I think it's just because he missed energy. I think he realized he couldn't get an attack off that turn, and from that point, Andre would just go ahead and Gustavo wouldn't be able to recover.
Oh, fair enough. I mean, I was thinking at that moment, I mean, your Pikachu Zekrom GX can kind of absorb a bit of damage at that point. I wasn't sure if he'd go down that route. I mean, those Pikachu Zekroms have 240 HP. Is that a viable out? Can he, keep that active for a while and take a few hits and try and knock out a few things?
Possibly, but I'm fairly sure at that point Andre only had 3 prizes left. So even if Andre takes like a 3-hit knockout on that Pikachu Zekrom GX, that still wins him the game.
Yeah, that's true. But then I don't know if he has 2 Pikachu Zekrom GX and tries to retreat between those 2, try and keep them active. That just requires a Guzma here. Maybe he's just thinking that at some point Andre will get that Guzma into hand. At some point he will be able to use that and just take the knockout anyway. So, playing a bit more conservatively in the case of having time on the clock, Gustavo has decided that it's not that big of a deal. He can try and recover. He's going first on game 3 here, but it's tied at 1-1, so we'll see how this one plays out.
Yeah, there's plenty of time left. As you can see here, still over 30 minutes left on the clock, just under 35 in fact. So we should be more than enough time to see this game 3 through to completion. And yeah, this is it. It's coming down to the wire. Game 3, the deciding game between these 2 players to see who will advance to the finals. No matter who wins between these 2, it will be someone who's never made an international final before will make their way there. And now it's just between the two of them in this game to determine who that will be.
Absolutely, and good luck to both players competing here, trying to get into that top 2, trying to get into that final, which will be tomorrow. So we'll see who is going to get into the top 2 here. We can see Gustavo has laid down his prizes. We'll see actually if on this occasion, I'm assuming the probability of that Buzzwole being prized again probably is probably very slim here. So let's see. So there's a Wobbuffet, there's a Volcanisson. Again, not really too much in there that is going to affect the game, I believe.
Yeah, I mean, it's Tapu Koko Prism Star. It's still obviously a nice set to have for Andre because it's something that extracts more energy, but it's not as vital as it is for him. I think something that is more important for Gustavo is that he's priced 2 energy switch.
Right. So actually, Andre has just priced 2 rainbow energy in there. So he's got 4 rainbow energy in total. He's priced 2 of those. He also has his Blitzel prize as well. Luckily, he plays a 2-2 line of Zeb Striker, so that hopefully won't be an issue for him.
And Andre going second actually started with 3 Pokemon, so he has the Jirachi, the Zapdos, and the Nihilego all there ready to go.
Yeah, so no Buzzwole prize at the moment, so that Buzzwole will actually be useful, I guess, in this game if you would like to try and search that out and go for that route. But yeah, Zapdos active. He uses Lily to get the maximum 8 cards for the opening turn.
It's funny though, isn't it? Because he didn't. The threat of Buzzwole was never really there for that entire game, but Andre was still able to win fairly convincingly, to be honest. I mean, Gustavo just conceding there, decided that there was really no way out for him, and unlike games 1 and 2, Gustavo goes straight for the Zeraora there, just wanting to get that Thunderclap Zone ability to retreat the Zapdos and get off a Stellar Wish.
Yeah, it's a bit of a weird situation with this matchup. Is like, do you want to go first or do you want to go second? It's because in this situation, I mean, obviously if you go first, it's better to set up, but if you go second, you can attack and you can get ahead on the prize exchange here. But Right, that is one factor of going first, is that you can actually let loose your opponent, which he has chosen to do here. So yeah, he's opting to try and put Andre's hand down to 4 cards here, and he'll have obviously the top cards. He'll have a draw for the turn, which will be 5 cards. He has a Stellar Wish as well, so you would think that he would have access to try and get out of this let loose here, but I mean, it's still quite disruptive to say.
It's funny though, there weren't any mulligans at the beginning of this game, were there?
I don't believe so, no.
Because if there weren't, then Andre has actually just ended up with the same amount of cards he already had because he benched 3 Pokemon, so he would have had 4 in hand already.
Yeah, it's a very valid point there, actually. But looking at his hand, he's got the Buzzwole in hand now, actually. So Buzzwole is comfortably sitting in his hand. There's a Rainbow Energy there as well, so we can attach the Rainbow, if you would like to that Zapdos. Keep in mind that he actually only has 2 remaining in his deck. That is one of them, so the other 2 are priced. If he uses that 1 Rainbow Energy to that Zapdos, it means he'll only have access to 1 more in his deck. But I think at this point it's pretty integral that he does kind of find some form of attachment. There is no draw supporter in his hand here.
Wow, so that let loose probably more being used for Gustavo to draw some more cards, but still paying off immensely as Andre is left with not much of anything to work with.
Wow, so there is switch. I mean, this is Pretty unfortunate for Andre here, but he wants to use switch there to use Stellar Wish because he needs to find something to draw. And there's a Cynthia. So finally, there's a bit of relief there. He managed to get that Cynthia there, which is going to enable him to shuffle his hand back into his deck and draw 6 cards. But just before he does that, he's probably wanted to play out his hand a little bit here. He has a Nest Ball, which is going to search him for a basic Pokemon and put it on the bench. Let's see what he decides to go with here. He has the Buzzwole in hand, so he's not going to search for that.
It's interesting that he opted to not play that before doing the Stellar Wish. Maybe he wanted the Stellar Wish decision to inform what he got off of the Nest Ball, but at the same time, if he played the Nest Ball first, he could have thinned his deck from a Pokemon and made it more likely that he actually hit something off a Stellar Wish. So it's interesting how that sort of plays out and how you can. That's one of the mini sequencing decisions that you have to make when you're playing.
Yeah, I guess as you're saying, people have different opinions as to what the correct sequencing is. I mean, for me, I always try to deck thin first and then try to draw cards. But yeah, Andre here has done the exact opposite of that. But evidently paying off because he's just got that Cynthia. So he's got that Cynthia, so he's going back into his deck. And he's going to shuffle his hand into his deck and draw 6 cards here. Let's see what he gets. What does he need at this point? He needs a skateboard here to retreat that Jirachi, or some kind of means to switch that Jirachi, and then he's looking to try and get some Electro Powers to go for the knockout, I imagine. So there's Shrine of Punishments. That will put 1 damage counter every turn on that Zeraora GX because it is a GX Pokemon. Yep. So that will start to rack up a little bit of damage. That's something that Gustavo has to be a little bit cautious of. But yeah, I didn't really see Andre's hand. Is kind of concealing his hand at this moment. I figured that he has a Marshadow in hand if he wants to let loose, actually.
He sure does. So
maybe he might be thinking to go for try to play down his hand a little bit and then try to let loose and try and give himself more. Actually, no, he's just passing turn and just opting to try and wake his Jirachi up and pass turn there. So
yeah, I mean, it was an interesting one because, of course, if he goes to the let loose and finds him a skateboard, he could be a hero and take the. Actually, I say he could take the knockout, but actually no, he couldn't because I don't think he had enough Electro Powers in his hand to take the knockout with Zapdos. So actually, in hindsight, probably it does make the most sense just to keep the Jirachi active.
Right, it's just a case of Gustavo hasn't taken any prizes yet, so I guess he can kind of relax a little bit on that front. I mean, Gustavo only had 1 turn so far, so Andre here is subject to whether Gustavo can take the knockout on this turn. He will have to try and find means of keeping up with his prize exchange. We've seen how important it is in this matchup, trying to just making sure that you're taking a knockout every turn.
Yeah, just was a big find here for Gustavo. He finds the Viridian Forest, able to counter that Shrine of Punishment. So the Shrine of Punishment only getting 1 damage counter of a value on that Zeraora, very, very important.
Yeah, so there is a discard for Viridian Forest. He's choosing to put a Lightning Energy into his discard pile, choosing to search for another Lightning Energy there. That is just to get some more energy into the discard pile. Should he choose to use Dance of the Ancients there, that will also free up a bench space. I guess Gustavo has to be a little bit worried that he does have that Zeraora GX on the bench. I mean, obviously he's feeling the benefits of having it on the bench as he just retreated his Tapu Koko for free. But I mean, Sledgehammer comes out, I mean, that could be an issue.
Yeah, it could. And also, it's interesting that actually, in that particular instance, he would have rather not had the Zeraora, I think, because now that Lightning Energy still stays on a Tapu Koko, and it means that you can't attach it, because if you could discard it to retreat, you could have attached it instead with the Dance of the Ancients.
Right, I was thinking that actually myself. So yeah, I mean, he's feeling the effect of retreating for free, but in this case, yeah, you perhaps want to pay the energy retreat cost at this point.
Yeah, but you don't have the choice, unfortunately.
Yeah, but I'm just wondering actually in his discard pile how many energy he has in there. I know obviously we see the one on the top there. I don't know if he has any more in the discard pile, so we'll have to wait and see. Perhaps that's why he hasn't used Dance of the Ancients just yet, because he's not getting the maximum benefit of using it here.
Yeah, he wants to sort of wait until he actually can get maximum value out of it before using it. But there goes a Guzma from Andre, able to bring up that Jirachi. No need for Electro Powers to KO the Jirachi with this Zapdos. So of course, 80 damage will be enough regardless. And there he's going for the Let Loose now. Right,
so Let Loose will, in this case, try to enable him to draw more cards as well as try to hopefully disrupt Gustavo here. Gustavo, looking on his bench, has, once he takes a knockout on this Jirachi, and I mean, yeah, the Jirachi is a bit of an easy KO in this point because it only has 70 HP. But another factor just to keep in mind with this knocking out this Jirachi is that if Gustavo doesn't draw into anything here and he knocks out that Jirachi, that he will not be able to use Stellar Wish to find more resources here. So that's one factor that Andre could be thinking at this point, is to try and knock out anything that is giving him more access to drawing things within his deck.
So down goes the, looks like you found a Zapdos from the Marshadow with the Let Loose. Not found much else though, just an Electropower, what looks to be an Ultra Ball. Might just decide to hold on to everything he has for now. It's a bit tricky. Oh, actually, just is he going to Ultra Ball away this Electropower?
Wow, it's pretty tough, but he has...
Oh no, it's an skateboard.
Right,
okay, that's less bad then.
Yeah, so I believe that Jirachi on the bench, does it have a card behind it? I can't see... I don't believe it does.
No, it doesn't.
Yeah, so I mean that might be a factor as to why he's holding on to that skateboard, because once the return knockout comes back, he will be looking to attach a skateboard and then retreat that Jirachi for free. There is a... Okay, so he's using Viridian Forest. I was going to suggest that he's holding back that skateboard. The sensible thing would be to attach it to that Jirachi and leave it there for next turn, just in case there is something like another Marshadow or a Judge or something like that.
Yeah, I think...
but he's just kind of, I guess, holding it back just in case that Jirachi gets knocked out, then he's just preserved there in a skateboard.
Yeah, I think as well at this point you're pretty much aware of what the other person's deck list is. We're all the way up to top 4 now, and I think that Andre is thinking if there would have been a second Marshadow in Gustavo's deck, he would have seen it by now. So I think he's still playing on the assumption that there is only one Marshadow, and given that it's on the field, that is the only one he needs to worry about. But instead, just going to go for the Thunderous Assault. But oh no, Electropower means that it's not a knockout.
Wow, that's pretty big actually in this matchup, just because, as you see, you really need to be exchanging knockouts here, and Andre is not benching anything that is GX related. And I mean, he only has one GX Pokemon in his deck, which is that one Tapu Koko GX. So it's really a very traditional game of Pokemon here, in the sense that he is actually having to take 6 prizes
with 6 knockouts.
Exactly, yeah. So we've seen so many times where players will opt to just knock out GX Pokemon, take prizes of 2, 2, and 2, or perhaps maybe knock out 2 tag team Pokemon, like a 3 and a 2, and perhaps a 1, or perhaps 3 and 3. But this is, wow, this reminds me of playing back in the day when you would have to knock out 6 Pokemon to take prizes. So this isn't something that we see very often, but Andre is certainly making it very difficult here for Gustavo.
Yeah. So Viridian Forest gets used, rather. Andre uses Gustavo's Viridian Forest, discards that Ultra Ball, just gets himself another Lightning Energy, which he'll be able to attach to the Zapdos, of course, but not before he goes for a Stellar Wish, just to see what he can dig for. Looks like, oh, he's found a skateboard. That's really, really good.
Yeah, so he's found a skateboard. So he had the skateboard in hand from last turn, so I'm not really sure if that's going to be much of value here if he wants to... does he? What is that? Is that a Blitzel that he has on his bench? I can't see. His hand is...
No, he has 2 Zapdos, Marshadow, a Nihilego, and a Buzzwole right now.
Right, okay, yeah. So
he does...
on the other camera, yeah. So there is another Zapdos there. So I wasn't sure if that was... Yeah, okay. So yeah, he has another... Yeah, so he has a Zapdos there. So, but... Yeah, so
he goes for skateboard number 2.
He's opting to get the skateboard here. Another option... Well, I guess it's not really worth getting the Choice Band at this moment, because the only thing you can target with the Choice Band is that Zeraora GX, and I mean, that's not in the active spot. He's not wanting to get that up. He needs to... it's a lot to ask if you try to Guzma that up and try and use Electropower and Choice Band to try and get the knockout. Yeah. I mean, that does have 190 HP as well.
I think what Andre was really digging for here was another Electropower, but instead he's now in the same situation that Gustavo was in, where he's actually just doing Thunderous Assault, but it's not for a knockout.
Yeah, wow. So... Yeah, it's a tricky situation here. I mean, it does really come down to a game of trying to find Electropowers here. That is really what we're looking for here. He's going to attach on Marshadow. Gustavo is... There goes Guzma for... He's going to retreat in and out to get the full effects of that Zapdos there. Yeah, so that's... to get a knockout on that active Jirachi. And that Jirachi does have the skateboard on it, so... It's a little bit of a hindrance there for Andre.
Yeah, that's pretty big. That means that now the KO tempo is back in Gustavo's favor, able to find that Guzma to take a knockout on the Jirachi. Not only actually getting the KO tempo in his favor, but now, of course, one of Andre's main digging options is actually just gone. There's no extra draw or search power or anything like that on Andre's side of the field.
Yeah, and as you can see, unlike the second game, Andre does actually have that Buzzwole lying on the bench. So Gustavo is playing very, trying to work around this Buzzwole here. So he doesn't want to put down his Pikachu Zekrom GXs just yet, because if he does, that Buzzwole will come up and use Sledgehammer, and get the knockout. So that is something that is certainly on his mind at the moment.
Yeah, and that's something he has to be quite careful of as he sort of go through this turn. The Rainbow Energy is there ready for him to attach if he wants to. Does go for the Nest Ball first. We do see there, just a reminder that Gustavo is on 4 prizes left. So if Andre had found a Guzma this turn, he could have just attached the Rainbow to the Buzzball, brought up the Zero Aura and taken a 2-prize knockout.
Yeah, you can see how tense this match is. You know, all these kind of really small details are really starting to add up here. I mean, it's kind of at the point where you really cannot put a foot wrong here. I mean, if you make one decision that could backfire, that could be your loss of this round, and that would be the difference between finishing in top 4 and finishing in the top 2, even potentially winning the tournament here. So really a lot of calculated decisions going on here, working out the sequencing of the types of cards we are using, or that the players are using here. So as you can see, going for that Jirachi here, Marshadow is currently stuck in the active spot. See what he's not pressured here to get an Electro Power because of the fact that that has already got damage on it. So there is no pressure on that respect on that side of things. So he's going retreat to the Jirachi. He's using the Stellar Wish ability. Let's see. He has Escape Rope in hand, but does he really want to use Escape Rope? He wants to knock out the Zapdos, I imagine, here. So,
well, I mean, ideal was you knock out the Zeraora GX, but of course he didn't find a Guzma. I imagine that's what he was digging for there. He finds Guzma off that Stellar Wish. I mean, this turn is sort of written out for him. But what I'm more interested in is it seems like Andre was really agonizing over something earlier, specifically that first Nest Ball. And well, he's going for the Escape Rope now, and yeah, you have to bring out the Marshadow if you're Gustavo here. You don't want to lose the Zeraora, and or rather, you don't want to lose Tapu Koko, and you definitely don't want to lose the Zeraora. You've got to assume that Andre has access to a Rainbow Energy or a Beast Energy at this point. But
yeah, so I think it puts Buzzwole active, interestingly. So there goes Buzzwole, and there goes the 1 damage counter for that Rainbow Energy, and he does go for the knockout here. So because Gustavo does have 4 prizes remaining, so he's able to maximize that Sledgehammer here. So what Gustavo is really needing here is to get a knockout of some sort, and that would put him out of Sledgehammer range, which means he can start using things like Pikachu Zekrom GX.
And you know what, actually, this was really clever by Andre, because he actually attacked with the Buzzwole anyway. He didn't need to. He could have gotten the KO on the Marshadow with just the Zapdos, but by doing this, he forces Gustavo to have more Electro Powers to get the knockout. If Gustavo would need 2 Electro Powers at this point to KO this Buzzwole in 1 hit, and more importantly, if Gustavo doesn't take a knockout, then the Sledgehammer turn is still going to go on, because Gustavo will still be on 4 prizes, and then at that point, Gustavo can just, Andre can just take a KO onto the Zeraora, but it looks like Andre used the Volkner to find Ultra Ball for Tapu Koko, and so it doesn't matter because the Tapu Koko is going to KO the Buzzwole.
So after all that, I mean, yeah, but these are small margins that really add up, as we were just saying before. If he didn't, he wants to try and utilize that Sledgehammer as much as possible, even if he does use Rescue Stretcher. We know he plays 2 Rescue Stretcher in the deck. If he tries to get that Buzzwole back, that Sledgehammer will not be active. I mean, he will obviously be able to use that Sledgehammer, but he won't have the added effect of trying to hit those really big numbers now. So Gustavo's got to that kind of magic 3 number in this match that we've sort of seen, in the sense that he is now able to start, benching Pokemon a bit less cautiously. He's able to use some big of his big GX Pokemon here, including some of his tag team GX Pokemon that he has within his deck, like the Pikachu Zekrom here. Oh. So it'll be interesting to see what kind of approach Andre goes with here. He's just used Stellar Wish here. What does he have in his hand?
Yeah, he used Stellar Wish. He's just found a Guzma off of that Stellar Wish. It's choice between a Guzma and 2 Lilies, but it looks like he'd rather not take the Guzma right now and just go for the Lily instead. I don't see a way for him to KO this Tapu Koko GX this turn unless he plays a absurd amount of Electro Powers.
Right.
But he does just go for the Viridian Forest, discards an Ultra Ball.
Yeah, so at this point, I mean, it's kind of a case of, he would need a lot of Electro Powers here to try and get that knockout. I mean, how many would... Well, I mean, Into Choice Band would be also another option there. So, yeah, I mean, there's a lot of different ways you can look to add up to 170 damage to get that knockout. Yeah. But, I mean, it just looks like too much at this moment.
Yeah, he would need any in combination of 3, because of course the base of 80 and extra 90 would be 170. So he'd need either 2 Electro Powers or a Choice Band, or you could just bring in your own Tapu Koko GX. That will do the trick as well.
And that's a viable option there, which he is choosing to do. He's gone for Tapu Koko GX, but it sounds like something is going on here. Sounds like there's some discussion going on between the judges and players here. Let's just see what is going on.
he might be debating whether he can move the rainbow energies across. Okay, so I'm fairly sure that he's yeah, no, there's a strain reserve. I just had to see what's going on here. Just wait for this. Yeah, no, that's.
Well, we'll see what happens here. So, but yeah, this is, I guess, a very, we've seen a very interesting matchup here.
Okay, so it looks like both players have their headsets off currently, so we want to be careful not to sort of, talk about, not to really give anything.
More information, yeah. So we
Yeah.
will keep it non-related to, obviously, the card game at the moment. But while we're waiting for this conclusion to finish up, what has been your favorite deck over the course of this weekend? Has there been something that you particularly have enjoyed watching over the course of this weekend?
I mean, I was so heartbroken for Simon Humphrey when when that last feature match. We were so hopeful that maybe one rogue deck can make it through, and in theory, it seemed like he had the means to set up that Onyx just take the big KOs on the Pikachu and Zekrom, but unfortunately, game one not working out for him, and game two playing the counter catcher and playing the Cynthia, just taking that prize penalty. Unfortunately, yeah, and it looks like the issue has been fixed. So what happened was the players didn't have the pink noise briefly in their headsets, so they could actually hear us, but that's been fixed now, so everything is okay again. Yeah,
just to mention that topic, that was a really satisfying moment with that Onyx got that knockout on that big Pikachu Zekrom. Yeah. That was something I really enjoyed about that match. But back to this game here, there is an Electro Power.
That's very important. Yeah. Without that, he wouldn't have been able to take the KO. So with that, the Tapu Thunder GX can come in 180 damage.
There is 2 prizes, so he's ahead on the prize exchange here. It's just a case of whether Gustavo can respond here and try and get a knockout here on that opposing Tapu Koko. If he does, wow, this is coming right down to the wire here.
And here comes finally after 2 games, the big, or 3 games even, well 2 previous games in this third one, the big.
Look how quickly he's powering up this Pikachu Zekrom. Just in one turn, he's managed to do that. There's Acerola. He's going to the active spot. Does he have where he can use
either Choice Band or Electric Power or get the KO? He's only 20 damage short of a knockout in his Tapu Koko. Does he have either one?
He can go with the GX attack as well if he really wants to and try and go down that. He can use Tag Bolt GX here if he wants to go for that 200 damage to ensure that he's got the knockout. That would mean the following turn he just has to use Full Blitz to knock out something on the bench. I mean, he's got access to knocking out everything here. So. But he has, indeed, just with the muscle band, with the choice band alone, he has got, I've said that too many times over the weekend, he has got a knockout on that Tapu Koko GX there.
And he's free energy going onto a Zapdos. Wow. Oh no, just one.
Right. And with that in mind, he has taken 2 prizes there, putting him down to 1 prize left, which means that Nihilego does not become active at this moment. He cannot use the attack of that because Gustavo has played that very, very nicely.
And the problem for Andre there is that what has just been KO'd is what usually would be his answer to a big, Pikachu Zekrom GX. So, I mean, with the 4 energy on the board, Tapu Thunder, all it would have needed was, either a Choice Band and an Electro Power or 2 Electro Powers, and it would have been enough to KO. But that has just been what's KO'd, and there's not enough energy on the field to actually do that play.
That's the issue that we have here now is that, even if he rescue stretched that, he's used his GX attack for the game. He does not have enough energy on the board. Does he have anything up his sleeve to kind of get himself out of the situation? Gustavo just needs that one more prize, and I believe he will wrap up this game. But, Andre is not conceding yet. Maybe he has something.
Well, there's no reason to concede, right? If you concede, you go from a 0.0001% chance to win to a 0% chance to win. So, you may as well play this out and see if you can think of some kind of answer. But I think especially because Gustavo was able to skip over the nightcap turn for Andre and really put a dampener in that plan of action for him. I think that might be just what seals it here. That KO on the Tapu Koko GX basically take away any responsive option that he could have had to a big Pikachu Zekrom, being either the Tapu Koko GX itself or the Nihilego.
Yeah, so I mean, exactly as you're saying there, that I guess there's no reason to concede here, but I mean, he's obviously he's searched through his deck quite a few times here. Well, there's Tapu Koko, that can get him some energy onto his side of the board, so I believe he obviously has the lightning energy in the discard pile, but well, I mean, even if he does, can he rescue stretch or something? I mean, can he... I don't know.
I don't see it because again he can bring back the Tapu Koko like you said. If he has a rescue stretcher, he can get it back. Do Arrow Trail, bring it up to the active with all the energy he attaches from this Tapu Koko. But then he's just gonna Sky High Claws for 130 and then lose.
Right. I mean he's played through far too many Electro Powers to even think about getting up to that 240 damage point, including that. Also, there is a. I'm sure. Even with the choice banner, doesn't make it relevant, but he's still digging through his deck here as if there is something that he's thinking about here. He's getting another lightning energy. So, I mean, yeah, it's just a case of, he's consistently searching through his deck. Maybe he has something up his sleeve here. I'm really curious. I mean, I don't see an out here, but
he's just exhausting all his possible options. I mean, we can't see anything currently right now, but obviously, we're not piloting the deck. He wants to make sure he's, exhausted every possible avenue. Maybe he can Guzma the Zapdos and hope that Gustavo doesn't have an energy to retreat. That's about the only option I can really see here.
Yeah, I mean, I was thinking that too, but
Gustavo's hand is massive, so the chances are he has one.
Yeah, and I mean, his deck is there is the energy in hand if he decides to do that. So that was a smart play on Gustavo's side to try and when he did use that full blitz attack to put one energy onto the Zapdos there. Yeah, he just can.
Yeah, that's it. So and Gustavo Wada will be your first finalist here at the European International Championships.
Yeah, so congratulations to Gustavo. So he's featured, this is his third time now on the stream, and he has taken all 3 games that he's played here on the feature match here. So congratulations to Gustavo for winning that match. It's a huge accomplishment to come all the way from Brazil and come all the way to the finals here at this big European international event.
Yeah, and you see the crowd really like that. The one thing I really love about the Brazilian Pokemon community is that they really know how to cheer on their own. We've seen that before at Latin American internationals. There's no crowd quite like a Brazilian crowd, and yeah, they're loving the fact that their fellow countryman is there in the finals. And you never know, depending on how this next top 4 match goes between Alex and Philip, we might see an all-Brazilian final.
Yeah, it seems like the Brazilian players here, especially Gustavo, are certainly look like the players that are going to go on and to potentially win the event. I mean, we still have another feature match to come up for you, which will be in the top 4 again. But yeah, I mean, Gustavo has just been, every time I've seen him being so intricate with his plays, really, coming here and doing so well at the event. I mean, it's very difficult at this moment in time to see how someone is going to be able to stop him in terms of getting to that point and winning his first international event.
Yeah, and not only that, but I just realized something else. Given that our upcoming top 4 match will be, of course, Alex Silva against Filip Zalewski, that is going to be Brazil versus Germany. So that means the final is either going to be Brazil against Brazil or Brazil versus Germany. I don't want to bring up football, but did I say any more?
I tried to stay away from that, but you did it. So, but yeah,
I'm allowed. I'm Brazilian. So.
Okay, fair enough. Right. But yeah, so in this case, it's just a case of all players doing so well to get here. I mean, it's an incredible achievement, regardless of where you finish. If you are in the top 8, that you've done fantastically well. I mean, that's an achievement to put on your belt, as it is, to kind of say that I came to this international event and I did so well. So when we see those slides come up, that will be credited to their names that they did or they got to this point in the tournament. Gustavo will be feeling now that this is kind of make or break for him. If it's like either now or never, he's got so far into this tournament. You can see how well he's utilized this deck. He's so strategic when he's playing. He's calculating every single move. You can see that by the inclusion of his deck, the kind of strategy that he's adapting here. So I mean, this is really got to be his time. I mean, either he goes for it now or who knows when it can happen again.
Yeah. I mean, to be fair, that's always the case when you make it sort of this far. You always want to try and win your next game. Whether he's able to or not will be it's a matter of who he plays against and what his draws end up being like as he plays. But he's going to be really happy just to even make it to the finals. This is by far his best internationals finish. And he is now only 1 win away from becoming a potential international champion. He's got to be over the moon already.
Yeah, absolutely. But it's always that one thing that is so far but so close, So it's a case of, he will, obviously play out this final match here. I'm not sure if he has a preferred opponent here as to who he'd prefer to play. We have, obviously, Alex Silva, who is playing that Zoroark deck, that Zoroark Lycanroc deck that we were talking about earlier. And who was the...
Against Filip Zalewski.
Yeah, who was playing, again, the Pikachu Zekrom build. But Philip actually, we saw him the previous round in top 8. Philip was actually playing a very heavy line of that Pikachu Zekrom build, whereas Gustavo here has actually gone with a more Zapdos orientated build, and if he needs to go down the route of Pikachu Zekrom, then he can. So But yeah, I guess for we were talking about the lack of Rescue Stretcher in this deck. I guess really you don't need to Rescue Stretcher your Pikachu Zekrom GX because once you've knocked out 2, that's more or less the game.
I would honestly not be surprised if maybe one of the decisions he was umming and ahhing about as he made this deck list was whether to play that for Zapdos, the physical Zapdos to have it, or to play the Rescue Stretcher. Clearly deciding that no, he's happy with the counts of Pokemon that he has and he doesn't need the Rescue Stretcher. He's just happy to go for it and play the higher Zapdos count. But we can now hear from the man himself. It looks like Gustavo is ready on the main stage to be interviewed, so let's head over to the main stage to hear from him.
All right, thank you, Nick. And yes, I am here with our first finalist, Gustavo Wada. Congratulations, first of all. You've had a lot of great finishes at the International Championships, making it to the top 8 before, but this is your first time making it to the finals. How does it feel?
Você já teve muito sucesso nos internacionais, chegando até o top 8, mas é a sua primeira vez chegando a uma final. Como você se sente?
Eu tô bem feliz, na verdade. Eu tava bem nervoso antes do torneio, com a escolha de deck, tudo. Eu tô, nossa, muito feliz com essa final.
I'm really happy about it. I was really anxious before the tournament about choosing the deck, but I'm just overjoyed.
Yeah, absolutely. And in that match, it was a very close match. In the third game, there was a crucial turn where your opponent could have used the Buzzwole, the Sledgehammer. Were you nervous at all that it could go wrong at some point, or were you confident that you were going to win?
A última partida foi muito acirrada. Houve um momento onde seu oponente podia ter usado o Buzzwole para derrotar o seu Pikachu. Como você se sente quanto a isso?
Então, no momento que ele podia usar o Sledgehammer de 4 prêmios para matar o Zeraora, ele tinha poucas cartas na mão, então, e tinha acabado de ligar uma Rainbow. E como ele não tinha feito muita coisa, eu estava seguro que ele não ia matar desse turno. Ainda mais que eu acho que eu matei a Jirachi nesse turno. Mas a partida foi muito apertada, tipo... Picron contra Zapdos Beast sempre apertado.
On the turn, he could use the Sledgehammer attack. He had a few cards in his hand. I was sure he didn't have enough cards to pull it out. So the matchup is always hard, but it was okay. We managed it.
Yeah, it all worked out. All right, now you are in the finals. You'll be playing either a Zoroark Lycanroc deck or another Pikachu and Zekrom deck. Is there a matchup you would prefer to face in the finals?
Você chegou na final e você vai jogar contra, talvez, um deck de Lycanroc ou um outro deck de Pikachu Zekrom. Tem algum que você preferiria enfrentar?
Eu gostaria muito de fazer uma final brasileira entre eu e o Alex, mas pensando no jogo eu preferia enfrentar uma mirror match.
I would love to do a final match against a Brazilian player, Alex Silva, but thinking about the matchup, I would rather face the other Pikachu Zekrom.
All right, well, either way, you are in the finals tomorrow. Congratulations. So we'll have to wait till tomorrow to see Gustavo play. But stay tuned. We have one more top 4 match to see who will be facing tomorrow, so don't go anywhere. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the 2019 Europe International Championships here from Berlin, Germany. I am Kyle Pukasukovic, joined by the one and only Joe Bernard. And Joe, we've gotten through almost 2 days. We have just one match remaining. Should be a good one.
Yeah, it's going to be amazing to see the final top 4 game. Is it going to be an all-Brazilian finals? Will Alex Silva be able to join Gustavo Wada, or will it be Filip Lechewski who's going to take the win here and make his way to the finals?
Yeah, it'll be a Zoroark Lycanroc deck versus yet another Pikachu and Zekrom deck that we just saw Gustavo win with, and it should be an interesting matchup. I do think Filip's deck list is significantly different than Gustavo's. Seems to be more heavily focused on the Pikachu and Zekrom, so we'll see how that goes. But Alex did take down Rahul Reddy in the top 8, who is also running Pikachu and Zekrom, so he is well-versed in this matchup already.
Yeah, it's a matchup both of them would have prepared for a lot, and it does come down to normally a couple of critical turns. There are moments in games, especially with Filip's build, which is so focused on getting that turn 2 full blitz if he can, maybe even a turn 1 full blitz if that's possible. And he's going to pretty much make that stand from those early turns and saying, do you have the fighting type answers on the turn you need them, Alex? Otherwise, I'm just going to run through you with some powerful knockouts.
Yeah, I've seen this matchup go both ways. Alex was able to defeat Rahul in the top 8, but Gustavo was able to take down Brent in the top 8 as well in the same matchup. So it can really go either way. A lot of it depends on, like you said, those crucial turns where it's like, hey, here's Pikachu and Zekrom. What do you got? And if they can knock it out, well done. If not, then tag bolt. Good game.
No matter what, it's going to be a really exciting top 4 match where there's going to be big swing turns happening. Sometimes a 3 prize swing for Alex's side if it's a Pikachu and Zekrom. Sometimes 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 prize swings can happen sometimes if it's Filip's side. So, I mean, there is some big potential here with the Pikachu and Zekrom, and you always know sparks are going to fly.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, there are some interesting tech cards in Alex's deck that we'll get to once the match begins. Ones that may make a difference that some other Zoroark Lycanroc decks may not be playing. Again, we'll get into that once the players have begun the match. But, yeah, I do think this is kind of a 50-50 matchup. It is shown to be, over the course of the standard format, perhaps a very slight edge to the Zoroark deck just because of all those fighting Pokemon. But it is certainly not favored heavily.
Yeah, and I mean, Filip must have gone through a couple of Zoroark on his route to this top 4. It's inevitable at some point, seeing as though how popular it was throughout this tournament. And he's shown his stuff. He's also said in an interview earlier that he prefers his build over Gustavo's. That's actually where he started testing the Pikachu and Zekrom in a few earlier tournaments and League Cups and whatnot. And he ended up landing on his own build saying, I prefer this one.
Yeah. Whatever works for you, I guess.
Yeah, he's had his own touch.
Both have shown to be a viable choice. Gustavo already in the finals, and Filip will try to join him. But Alex is the one standing in his way. He was the #1 seed entering the top 8. Of course, as we started the day, it was both Andre and Alex in our first streamed match. They were seeds 1 and 2 beginning the day, and neither of them really relented throughout the tournament throughout day 2, and Alex is still here in the top 4.
Yeah, he's been Mr. Consistent on day 1, pretty much top of the standings. On day 2, he was always at the top or more or less around on that record. So, as you said, going in as first seed, he's pretty much battered the competition throughout this weekend.
Indeed, and there is a lot on the line here, a lot of prizes these players are fighting for, but also, you know, pride. Like you said, this could be an all-Brazilian final if Alex joins Gustavo in the finals, but Filip wins. He is from Germany. He will be representing his home country here in Berlin.
I'm sure there will be a lot of characters out there in the crowd cheering both of these players on. And yeah, as you said, the German contingent will be supporting Filip for sure. And I'm sure there's a handful of Brazilian fans out there for Alex. So both of these players are very popular and known throughout the community. So I'm sure there's going to be a lot of support for both players here.
And we do see them setting up right now. You see Alex on the left and Filip on the right. Both these players have been featured on stream already, so you can be a little familiar with them. But only one of them can advance to the finals, and we'll figure out who that's going to be very shortly.
there's definitely some critical outcomes that can come out of this. Like we said, a few critical turns as we have a look here at Alex Silva, of course, representing the Zoroark Lycanroc archetype. He's had a good number of finishes. Most of the ones you can see on this side have been, with Zoroark-based archetypes. He's been changing up his list accordingly, but pretty much had Zoroark to trade his way through many, many tournaments recently, and that's where he can attribute some of these big placements.
If I remember right, he was actually one of the top seeds at the Oceania International Championship as well. I think he was playing Malamar at that event, but he has switched back over to Old Faithful Zoroark GX. Malamar can be a little bit erratic and inconsistent, but Zoroark just feels good to trade every turn.
It's pretty much like that one Malamar was kind of like the blip between the rest of his season, where he was just placing in multiple tournaments with Zoroark archetypes. I remember, oh my goodness, that's already some terrible prize cards for him.
You can't draw too many cards if 2 of those Zoroark are in your prizes, along with the Zorua.
Yeah, that's really rough for him. I mean, that's not going to be great. Really limiting his draw, and he does need to find combinations at times. We're going to see a little snapshot out of Philip here. He has put that Oricorio on his 4 cards. He really does love using that Vital Dance ability. He says it's one of the key reasons why he can be so turbo at times, so that he can search out those lightning energies to then get them straight into the discard pile for the likes of the Dancing Ancients. You can see he's no slouch himself. He's had some big finishes at some national championships as well as a few regionals as well.
Yeah. It's on theme. You have the Vital Dance, the Dance of the Ancients. His whole deck is just about dancing.
Yeah, and we're going to check out his prize cards here. Nothing too painful. 1-0 Aura GX might be a little bit of a headache for him, but overall, on reflection, I think he can deal with this.
Yeah, certainly not too bad. Zera Aura prized could be a little painful. Only plays 1. And it is helpful to have that free retreat. That can be crucial to those first turn or second turn full blitzes, but he does play plenty of switch as well. Joe, are you ready for this top 4 match?
Well, the players are ready. They're shaking hands, so we're going to go straight into it here. Looks like Alex is kicking things off. He has his Zorua start. Philip with the Jirachi. Alex is already holding on to a second Zorua here and a Nest Ball, so pretty reasonable stuff from him so far. Also Pokemon Communication, so he's got plenty of options from turn 1 here.
Yeah, the Zoroark decks are known for their consistency. They are, I would say, a little less consistent than in previous formats when you would go for that turn 1, bridge it, and set yourself up with 3 basic Pokemon on the first turn. We saw briefly the builds with Professor Elm's Lecture trying to mimic that sort of thing, but looks like these days it's all about Nest Ball, playing out as many cards as you can, following it up with Lily to refill your hand, because getting an energy attachment on the first turn is so crucial to power up that Lycanroc GX.
Yeah, like you said, just the format has formed around this, and Zoroark is always trying to stay relevant. So in order to stay relevant, oftentimes turn 1 attachments on the likes of a Rockruff can be a big deal. And also, of course, dealing with these Jirachis, trying to Nest Ball for the likes of Alolan Grimer, which has more than 60 hit points, so it wouldn't be a Professor Elm's target, is also a big temptation. So that's why you're so often seeing Lily as the main engine here. There is always that sort of fear that you may end up just drawing a few blanks after a Lily, but it seems as though Alex is going to be able to lower his hand size here to get a huge hand.
Looks like not a bad start for your top 4 match. And yeah, when you're playing a Zoroark deck, all you really want to do is get as many Zorua in play as you can, perhaps Ditto Prism Star, and in this matchup, get down the Alolan Grimer so you can stop your opponent's abilities, things like Jirachi, the Tapu Koko Prism Star, even things like Tapu Lele GX can be useful later in the game. Now that Ditto Prism Star can be somewhat of a liability because Philip does play that Wobbuffet. That Shady Tail ability does prevent Ditto from evolving with that Almighty Evolution ability, so we may see that kind of counterplay happen and basically turn Ditto into a 40 HP Pokemon that has no text on it.
Looks like Alex was thinking about benching a Zorua, and now he's thinking twice about it. I think he had his plan sort of mapped out. He was hoping to use this Ultra Ball so he could get an attachment onto a Rockruff instead this turn before using his Lily, but he then sort of skipped a beat and saw Zorua in his hand and just benched it instantly. Sometimes that can happen. I think there might be a little bit of discussion going on here to see if he's able to continue his turn here, but otherwise he's still got a reasonable Lily. He's still got a turn 1 attachment and an Ultra Ball, so he is going to shuffle up here. Looks like the Zorua is staying on the bench here.
Yeah, I don't think you want to throw away Zorua.
Yeah.
You just want that down. And it is the difference between a Lily for 8 and a Lily for 5, but he can still attach energy to the Ditto Prism Star and then Lily for 6 cards. So
This makes the Wobbuffet look even better for Philip now that he's elected to attach to this Ditto as well. He does eventually draw into a Rockruff as well as another Zorua here, so a pretty ideal start for him. He's going to be able to fill his bench if he wishes, and also has some backup draw supporters and Ultra Balls, so it's a pretty solid start for Alex.
Yep, and he could go ahead and Ultra Ball for the Alolan Grimer in this situation. You always want to have that dual threat, have the Ditto or the Alolan Grimer, both of which can evolve into Alolan Muck, just because that power of Alchemy is so crucial for slowing down a lot of these Jirachi-based decks. A lot of their power comes from being able to constantly filter through their deck, find the right trainer cards, and set up big attacks turn after turn. And what happened in the top 8 match between Alex and Rahul was Alex got Alolan Muck out, and then all of a sudden Rahul's deck completely shut down. He was just passing the turn because he couldn't Stellar Wish or use any of his abilities anymore.
Yeah, even shutting down that Dance of the Ancients, Tapu Koko, Prism Star is obviously huge as well. Maybe rushing the opponent if they can only have one target of Lightning Energy to attach onto here. So as soon as you get that Alolan Muck down, it really does limit what Philip is able to sort of come up with. We are seeing him. He's looking at an Ultra Ball right now, a few options in his hand, as well as a Lily for himself here. So both players pretty much with ideal starts already.
Yep, just trying to figure out which cards to throw away with this Ultra Ball. I would guess a Lightning Energy is going away for sure, but what else does he want to throw away? He does have Energy Switch, some crucial cards that might be helpful for combos later, but actually he's just going to opt to Stellar Wish first, see if he finds anything good, and yeah, Mysterious Treasure is pretty good.
Yeah, that's a good option. It means he only has to discard one, and that was the only card he wanted to get rid of if he wants to use Mysterious Treasure, so this makes life a little bit more easy for him. It also means, you know, he had the option to just simply find a target that he was happy to Ultra Ball away off the Stellar Wish as well. So a good outcome or a bad outcome, as long as it was a trainer, Philip was happy. And now he's eyeing up this Mysterious Treasure for himself here.
Yep, and you know what Mysterious Treasure can search for, and that is Oricorio. He could go ahead and use Vital Dance, get 2 more Lightning Energy in his hand, and Ultra Ball them away. Yeah, wow. This is... like you said, this is one of the cards that makes his deck so consistent and so consistently able to get energy in the discard pile.
Philip does swear by it, and it means that he can do an Ultra Ball of 2 Lightning Energies away and then find some targets to put the 3rd Lightning Energy that's currently in his hand onto as well. So he is going to go for that Vital Dance, go ahead and scout 2 Lightning Energies out of his deck thanks to this Mysterious Treasure pickup from the Stellar Wish, and he can start powering up his main attacker here with an Ultra Ball. I have to assume he's going to go for something like a Pikachu and Zekrom at this point, and he's eyeing it up straight away.
Yep, this is not a toolbox version of the deck. This is not a I can be a Zapdos deck or a Pikachu and Zekrom deck. This is a Pikachu and Zekrom deck through and through. The kind that plays 4 energy switches and just wants to full blitz as quickly as possible and force the opponent to respond.
Here comes the Energy Attachment and Choice Band. He's going to get a Lily for 6 cards here, looking to find maybe that Dance of the Ancients, Koko, Prism Star. He's also found Thunder Mountain.
He's got plenty of stuff to work with here.
Oh my goodness, it might be the fabled turn 1 full blitz. It looks like it's on the cards here.
Yeah, he absolutely can do it. It's just a question of does he want to?
Yeah.
So one of the tech cards in Alex's deck that makes this matchup so much different is that new Lycanroc GX from the Team Up expansion. It gives you several different options to knock out Pikachu and Zekrom GX. The number one being if you power up its Accelerock attack, you don't need a Choice Band to knock out a Pikachu and Zekrom. It does 120 damage. You can just straight up knock out a Pikachu and Zekrom. So it is very risky for Philip here to just go in and full blitz if he doesn't have a backup plan.
Yeah, I think he only has 1 Pokemon search card in hand, and it has to be for this Tapu Koko if he wants to full blitz at all. So it means he's putting all the eggs in this one Pikachu and Zekrom.
Looks like he's going for it, though. His deck only has 1 mode.
And yeah, looks that's going to be the case. Dance of the Ancients is going off. A couple Lightning Energies onto the Oricorio and the Pikachu and Zekrom. Yeah. Any real saving grace is that he has energy switches for maybe backup attackers if this was to go down, but it would be devastating for him.
Yeah, if he had the Wobbuffet, this would be a much better play because then the Ditto Prism Star wouldn't be able to evolve. But as it stands, it might actually be better to just pass the turn, as weird as that is.
I agree.
If you knock out the Zorua, then you just give the Ditto a free pass to come active. evolve into Lycanroc and destroy your Pikachu and Zekrom. But in this situation, Alex is going to need to find some way to switch his Zorua. And I think the only way he can do that in his deck is Guzma, or he does play one Tate and Liza. But he's going to have to use his supporter for the turn, and then he'll have to use this Lycanroc GX with a Choice Band. So, yeah, the Pikachu and Zekrom is safe.
Yeah, it felt like too big of a risk to go for. I'm sure at this point Philip does know the ins and outs of Alex's deck list and is aware of that Twilight Eyes Lycanroc. So we are going to see Alex kick off his turn. He's just going to instantly attach to his own Rockruff on the bench here, making sure he has multiple threats ready for Philip's Pikachu and Zekrom. He's going to get a Cynthia for 6 cards, looking to find, again, that Alolan Muck's such a big deal for limiting Philip's options, and maybe start trading as well. Alolan Muck's there. I don't see many...
looking for Zoroark GX.
Yeah.
That's the important one. And, yeah, I don't see it. I see a Nest Ball, which is worthless.
Yep.
He finds everything except Zoroark, and he actually doesn't evolve into Alolan Muck. Wow.
That's a really interesting decision. I don't even think... Is it the only Pokemon in his hand? Maybe he's hoping for Pokemon communication outs? But no, he's got lots of Pokemon in his hand.
No, his hand is terrible, so he's hoping that one of his Pokemon gets knocked out so he can Wonder Tag.
Yeah, that's what he's looking for here.
Yes, if he plays the Alolan Muck, it cuts off his own Tapu Lele. But yeah, this is a miserable spot for Alex. If Philip were able to Guzma out the Lycanroc or even the Rockruff and get a knockout, he could jump out to a huge lead here.
And it looks a lot less risky now that he's able to find himself a Nest Ball as well to get some targets to Full Blitz onto. So he's looking in a better spot. The patient approach definitely paying off for Philip here. Dodging a pretty awkward, well, it was an awkward Cynthia for Alex, and it's going to buy Philip some time here, which is all he needs really to start pushing ahead with Pikachu and Zekrom. As soon as you give this deck an inch, it'll really go a mile.
If you're Philip here, you're probably going to Full Blitz. Would you rather have another Pikachu and Zekrom powered up, which can, it gives your opponent an opportunity to win the game in 2 knockouts, or would you prefer something like Zeraora GX, which only gives up 2 prizes but is a little weaker?
Yeah, the Zeraora is prized for him right now. So he's all in on the Pikachu and Zekrom.
Let's just say hypothetically.
Hypothetically, I do like the Zeraora as an option there. But looks like we're going to see the... We're just going to see... I think there may not have been a shuffle before the Stellar Wish. Yeah.
He did go to draw his top card. I'm not sure if the judges will consider that, drawing a card when he shouldn't. We'll see what happens. I'm not sure if he even saw the card, but I did.
Yeah, at least he stopped himself straight away. He was aware. He was like, oh, I remember this one. I've seen this card just a moment ago with my Stellar Wish.
All right, so it looks like we are going to get this resolved very shortly. And, the Ether Conservation Paradise area was on top of his deck, which might actually be somewhat important in this matchup. It would make it so that the Twilight Eyes Lycanroc doesn't get a one-hit knockout. It reduces the damage by 30, so it would be 30 damage short. But the judge is now shuffling up, and looks like Alex is going to be playing, or Philip will be playing this Lily, drawing some cards, and we will see a Full Blitz this turn.
Yep, that's definitely going to be the case once this is all resolved, and no doubt he's going to be stacking energy onto his back benched Pikachu and Zekrom as well, so he has that multiple threat in line. Only 1 prize for him this turn with this little Zorua, because he's obviously playing this Lily here. So it's not all rosy for him right now, but at the very least he's going to have multiple threats powered up on the board. He's already holding on to the likes of Electro Power for next turn as well, so he's not going to have a problem reaching, even if Alex is able to make a response. But it's really not great sending your 3 prize Pokemon into a non-GX attacker.
No, not really. It still doesn't feel like a great spot for Philip. He gets the first knockout, he gets a bunch of energy in play, but Alex already has those dual threats lined up. If he can power up that Lycanroc GX with a Choice Band, or even just use Dangerous Rogue GX, he can take 1 knockout on the first Pikachu and Zekrom, and then he has the other Rockruff already with an energy. If he can just do that 2 turns in a row, they give up 3 prizes each. That adds up to 6, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I think the only gamble Philip's taking here is that he saw no Zoroarks last turn.
Yeah.
And that means that Alex can't find all those combinations, those choice bands, those continuous double colorless energies, even looking for that next Lycanroc. So he's just hoping that the Cynthia was that poor that he's going to have this a window of opportunity to make one of these Pikachu and Zekrom stick.
It looks like we're still waiting to get a final decision on what's going to happen here. It looks like the stadium card was revealed to both players, but I'm not sure if a penalty was applied here. But we do see the Lily for 3 cards for Philip, and that will follow up with the full Blitz. Now he does get a Lightning Energy onto his Pikachu and Zekrom on the bench. That's actually a pretty big deal. Now he can full Blitz 3 onto the benched Pikachu and Zekrom. And that means next turn he could get Thunder Mountain Prism Star, attach the 5th energy, and actually go for what would be a game-winning, or not a game-winning Tag Bolt, but pretty close to it.
Sure.
Potentially knocking out both Lycanroc and the Rockruff on the bench.
And the Thunder Mountain's already in his hand, I believe, as well. So he's really there. He's really close to that Tag Bolt GX attack next turn, depending on how Alex responds here. He's got that bench spot open for his Tapu Lele 2-1 to tag him out of this spot. He may honestly just be using this Nest Ball to free up space in his hand and just not draw into those again. He has picked up a Zoroark GX return, I believe, as well.
Not a bad top deck at all. He does need to find some energy card this turn, though, to get a knockout. And it seems like that shouldn't be too difficult between Zoroark GX's trade and Tapu Lele GX's Wonder Tag, finding him something like a Cynthia.
There's even a Mallow option as well for him as well. Now that he has drawn into that Zoroark GX, there's Wonder Tag for Mallow. Simply trade and guarantee yourself double Colorless Energy Choice Band. That would be a huge turn.
Yeah, and I think if you're Alex, you also want to try to evolve the Rockruff into Lycanroc this turn. You don't want to have the situation where Philip is able to Tag Bolt GX, knock out your Lycanroc and your Rockruff on the bench. If you could just evolve it into either one of those Lycanroc GX with the Twilight Eyes or the Bloodthirsty Eyes, you can prevent that play.
We are definitely going to... Oh, he's already holding Choice Band in hand as well, so he can do the whole trio here. He's even got the double colorless there as well. He's got everything he needs.
He's got it all.
This is going to be a huge turn. He's setting himself up perfectly here. A Lower Muck comes down as well, denying any sort of let loose play as well. So he's not only set for this turn, but he's pretty much set for game.
Right, yeah. He's got Choice Band and double colorless in hand. He can Mallow. They could just get Lycanroc GX plus another energy, and you pretty much lock up the game.
That's exactly what he's done here. Mallow putting those to the top, and he can trade away the Orangaroo. That's a useless card for him. Everything else is perfect. It's going to guarantee those draws, and yeah, this combination of Lycanrocs is so huge here. He's not going to Twilight Eyes. He knows that's not a problem.
Oh, no, no, no. Oh, he put down 2 double colorless energy instead of the Choice Band. Oh, no.
No, not like this.
Oh.
It was so perfectly laid out for him. Alex just playing too quickly there. A couple of jitters here from Alex.
That's so painful, too. He only had 2 cards in his hand.
What were the odds? That's so
50,
rough
50.
for him. Yes. Oh, my goodness. Alex just had to take a moment, getting excited, knowing that he was so close to getting the game. Everything was locked up for him. But now there's this window of opportunity for Philip with that attachment of the second energy card that we all know that it was unintentional. We know what he was looking for. But
yeah, and
another sort of discussion for the judges.
I'll be curious to see what the judges rule here. I think it was pretty clear what his intent was, but his physical action of playing the cards was not even a legal play, and he announced his attack already.
That's the big one.
So I know this has already been a bit of a messy situation.
Ooh.
And now it's the question, can he switch which attack he was using? Because even if he can Dangerous Rogue GX, that still is fine. But if he has already announced Claw Slash, then...
Yeah, it depends what he announced, really. Maybe he just announced Knockout or Boom or something, you know.
Yeah.
Not every time people literally announce the actual attack names. It's something that you should be doing, but it's not always what happens. And especially when Alex was so quick to make those actions, he was saying this, and Knockout, I guess.
Yeah.
And so maybe that's something that has to be discussed between the judges here.
Yeah, so it looks like the nerves are certainly getting to both of these players so far. I'm sure, they did have to kind of sit on the sidelines and watch. That may have messed with them a little bit, right? They've been full of adrenaline after just winning a top 8 match and then having to wait over an hour to play their next match. Could really take you out of your groove, throw off your rhythm.
Yeah,
I've certainly been that before. The lunch break is always the bane of my existence.
Yeah, sometimes giving yourself that little debrief and a plan before the game even starts makes you play a lot less fluidly with the hands that you're seeing at the time. So sometimes giving yourself that hour to sort of sit with yourself even, or discuss with friends how they've played through the matchup, sometimes that can actually be more of a distraction than going straight into your next game.
Yeah. So Alex just trying to explain what he was trying to do here. Obviously, he knows you can't attach 2 energy cards in a turn, so it was very obvious what he was trying to do. But I don't know. We'll figure out what happens here. Yeah, I mean, this was looking like Alex was in a pretty good position here, but depending on how this goes.
By the looks of things, Alex is able to take 3 prize cards here by changing his attack to the GX attack option rather than the Claw Slash. That seems to be the case, but judges are still going over it again with Philip here. Obviously, this is a high-pressure situation for both players, and there's a lot on the line here, so just making sure everyone's clear on what's going on is definitely something crucial that these judges have to do, and we do have to commend them for that.
Yeah, this is a very tricky situation. You see Alex desperately just trying to flip over his GX marker. Like, look, I'll just do this instead.
I can just do this, yes.
But there's also a weird bit of timing, you know. If you attach second energy, I mean, are you allowed to even attack?
Sure, exactly.
This is a very gray area, and I don't know what else to say. But this has been an exciting tournament so far. It's unfortunate this is turning into a complicated situation, but we've had some excellent matches over the course of the weekend, some great gameplay on display, and I'm sure we'll have a great match here no matter what happens. But Joe, it looks like this is kind of the tournament where Pikachu and Zekrom might finally get its chance to get a big victory. What do you think contributed to Pikachu and Zekrom finally, making it to the finals of the International Championships? It's been played a bunch, but hasn't gotten a lot of wins or even finals appearances. What has changed?
Yeah, it's kind of been a perfect storm for Pikachu and Zekrom. I think the amount of controlling archetypes that we've seen in recent regionals and whatnot allows Pikachu and Zekrom to be more of a safe play. Maybe pick up a free matchup here and there where you feel like you're very favoured, and that's been a contributing factor here to Pikachu and Zekrom being a more safe call for a number of players this weekend.
Looks like the ruling has been issued, and Alex will be forced to use Claw Slash here for just 220 damage. And now he's saying, hey, I used Twilight Eyes.
Well, sure. I think on balance, Philip will take that.
Yeah,
I think he's not even going to argue it. That's just going to get thrown out of the way.
Yeah, you can have that one.
So far. So.
But yeah, the entire complexion of this game just changed. Now Philip can knock out this Lycanroc GX. Look at that. He's already got Choice Band and Electro Power, so you can just full blitz for the knockout and set up for the Tag Bolt GX on the following turn. The game is not over by any means, but Philip is now in firm control.
And he's also able to thin a few more cards out of his hand here. He can Nest Ball as well, maybe for some other targets, but it feels like he's only ever going to be using both of these Pikachu and Zekroms for the next couple of turns. But as you say, knockout guaranteed on board thanks to the Choice Band in combination with that Electro Power, and he could charge up even more energy with a full blitz here. And as you say, I mean, he's just in so much more of a prize lead in this situation now as well. Everything's looking good for Philip.
Yeah, the only awkward thing for Philip is he can full blitz here, but where does he put the energy? He's put that Thunder Mountain Prism Star in play. So if he attacks with full blitz and commits all of his energy to his benched Pikachu and Zekrom, it could get knocked out if Alex draws a Guzma and targets that down, and then he won't have the option for the massive Tag Bolt for 3 prize cards. And his Pikachu and Zekrom in the active spot already has 220 damage on it. So this game is now basically coming down to whether or not Alex will draw Guzma for the turn plus a trade.
Yeah, he does. Philip does know the 2 cards in Alex's hand. Thanks.
Here we go. Big trade for 2 cards.
Oh, well, it's not Guzma. It's just another Zoroark. Only one trade is never a position you want to be in. Alex is just going to have to say, Philip, if you've got enough Electro Powers and other damage buffs, you're going to get over the line here.
Right. Yeah, he only needs next turn. One.
Yeah.
Yeah, that or Guzma will do it.
Sure.
Even an Escape Rope would do it. So we're going to see the Riotous beating for the knockout. 3 prize cards now for Alex, but if Philip has one more Electro Power, there it is. Tag Bolt GX knocks out both Zoroark GX and Tapu Lele for 4 prizes, and Philip will take game number 1.
Yeah, I mean, he powered up the Pikaroms and just made sure that they were able to stick around on the board long enough. Obviously, a little bit of help there from a bit of jitters there from Alex. We have to say that that's going to be the case. I think Alex was well in contention for winning that first game, were it not the case. But that is obviously something that we do have to factor in here. And whatever way the judge call was going to go, someone's going to be left unhappy there because it was literally a critical turn where the game could have gone one way or the other based on the attack. And it just happened that Philip was on the good side of that ruling, and he's going to be able to take the first game. Pikachu and Zekrom continue to dominate this tournament.
Yeah, and I'm not going to act like I've never played the wrong card from my hand before. I think that's a mistake almost everybody has made. It always feels so miserable, too, when you do it, because, like, all right, I got my turn planned out. I'm going to play this. Okay, I got it. You play it on your card, like, that is not what I planned in my head. Well.
We're here now, it turns out. Yeah. I've just put myself in this position.
So much for that.
Yeah. And a little bit unfortunate. Alex is, at least, he has time on his side. There's 54 minutes left on the clock here.
Yep.
And he's going to be going first. And if he's able to have the kind of start he had in that first game, getting attachments on the likes of Rockruffs, maybe a couple of multiple threats going on, he's still going to have ways into this game for sure. And we've seen, you know, his game plan at least in that game 1. And it was a game plan that could have seen him through winning that first game. So it's definitely the right approach, I have to say.
Yeah, and I think he probably knows it's still a good matchup for him. He was in a pretty good position even when Philip got a turn 1 full blitz. So if that's the case, I think he's probably feeling pretty comfortable about the matchup in general. It's very annoying to lose a game because now there's basically no room for error. If, you know, Philip just one game plays down Mars Shadow, uses Let Loose, and Alex draws a poor hand, you know, that's it. He's out, and Philip is on to the finals. So from that regard, it is frustrating, but he's not out of it yet.
Absolutely not. Zeraora once again chilling in those prize cards. Alex kicks off what looks to be with a Nest Ball, as is often the case, and I think he's starting off with an Alolan Grimer as well. Philip starting with his own Mars Shadow. He just mentioned Let Loose being a factor here.
It won't be this game.
A lot less of a factor now, with it being stuck in the active position for his start here. And Alex has, like we say, that Nest Ball. He can start developing the likes of those Dittos, Zoruas and whatnot. He does have to be a little bit cautious of going for direct Dittos, obviously, because there is the sort of backup option of the Wobbuffet. So instead we're going to see Rockruff be his elected target here. He's also going to Pokemon Communication away and a Alolan Muck here to get a few more basics down.
It looks like another great start for Alex. He's going to go ahead and get as many basics down as he can, and we'll see if he can play that turn 1 Lily one more time. Does get the Ditto Prism Star down once again. He did not see Wobbuffet from Philip in the first game, so he might not know that it's in his opponent's deck, but I guess we'll find out. He does get the energy attachment onto the Rockruff. And
Lily as well. 6 new cards for him. He's just looking for a bunch of Zoruas at this point.
This looks familiar.
It's a pretty good start, and he's found himself a number of Pokemon as well. Another Nest Ball, another Zorua. He's kicked off to a great start here in this game too.
Perfect start, really. Not much more you can ask for. On your first turn, that's really all you want. Fill up your bench with basics, get an energy down, and then you're hoping turn 2 you get a bunch of Zoroark GX into play, start trading away, and if your opponent has put down Pikachu and Zekrom GX, hope to knock it out.
So yeah, he's going to go ahead and search out that second, the first Zorua, and then bench his second one, and simply pass it over to Philip. As we say, pretty much the ideal turn here. Philip has the escape board already in hand, Nest Ball for himself here. He's also clutching onto a Lily by the looks of things, and he has Zapdos as well, so he's got plays available as always.
Yeah, his hand is much less good.
Yeah.
It's not a bad hand by any means, but
Sure.
It's much less explosive. He can knock out the Alolan Grimer this turn. He's got the Zapdos in hand, along with the Escape Board and a Lightning Energy already, but it doesn't seem like he's about getting knockouts with Zapdos. He's trying to full blitz as fast as he can. So a Thunderous Assault on the first turn, getting a knockout, might be disappointing for Philip.
Yeah, that's an interesting thing, seeing as though there are literally our previous international winning deck list was all about trying to just hit that 80 on turn 1. Philip saying, no, I want way more than that. I want to get 150 damage at least, and then get myself 3 more energy cards. Why would I sit here just doing 80?
So he's going to figure out what he wants to nest ball for. I think he wants to get Pikachu and Zekrom GX, but it is somewhat risky. Yeah. Especially if you're going to knock out the Alolan Grimer this turn, then your opponent can simply send out the Rockruff, evolve into Lycanroc GX, and all of a sudden your Pikachu and Zekrom could be in trouble. Looks like he's eyeing up the Wobbuffet instead, perhaps trying to disable his opponent's Ditto Prism Star.
Yeah, always a tricky one, really, because as much as it does hurt Alex here, it also denies him his own Tapu Koko. I mean, we've seen how vital it is for him to have explosive starts. Tapu Koko is such a big deal in order to do that. And now it's pretty much Philip resigning himself to go for a Zapdos attack by the looks of things, and reload his hand with a Lily here. But yeah, as we say, the Wobbuffet can be very awkward for him, especially with Zeraora in the prize cards for him. It's a really chunky retreat cost type Pokemon, so even if you're going to throw it into the active position so you can dance to the Ancients, you need to combine it with a Guzma.
Yeah, he does play a lot of Switch as well, so there's still that option. But yeah, it's going to be a little awkward for him, especially after drawing a handful of junk. He does get the Thunderous Assault knockout and does get the Zeraora GX out of his prize cards, but now it's Alex's turn to do something, and this is kind of where the Zoroark decks can take over. And if you're Philip and you see the first thing your opponent does is trade away a double colorless energy, you go, oh no, this cannot be good.
He's holding on to a monster hand if he's trading away double colorless energy, usually such a vital resource. And yeah, it's definitely going to be a big turn from Alex by the looks of things. He's obviously got more double colors energies that he can play this turn. He's looking to see how he can fill up his board to see if a Riotous Beating can take a knockout on this Zapdos. He's also got the potential for a Bloodthirsty Eyes as well. If he wants to free up that Ditto Prism Star once again, he could bring up the Wobbuffet and simply evolve the Ditto Prism as well. That's definitely something he could be considering here.
Yeah, I think that's a smart play. You can even evolve your Ditto this turn without knocking out the Wobbuffet, so might be a chance for him to get the Alolan Muck into play now, or even just have another Lycanroc GX if he wants access to that. Just going to see a Lily for 3 cards before he trades yet again. And he does have Ultra Ball in hand. Could have played it before the Lily, but I think he didn't want to discard yet another double colorless energy.
Yeah, that would be a little bit too painful for him. Looks like Alex is going to be getting rid of an Ace Roller here with another trade. And obviously it seems to be the case that Philip is not looking to take 2-hit knockouts. He's looking to take big one-shots. So whenever Acerola is going to be in his hand, looks like Alex will opt to get rid of that with trades by the looks of things. And now he's eyeing up this Ultra Ball. I think, like you say, definitely a temptation to go for this Alolan Muck, and also a temptation for a Lycanroc as well, potentially.
Currently, he can't even knock out the Wobbuffet.
Yeah, that's also true.
He might need Ultra Ball for another basic. And then with the Devoured Field, he might be able to get there. He does have 2 in his hand, but yeah, I think he wants to take a knockout here. So he's going to have to get Ultra Ball for another basic, but no, actually just goes for the Alolan Muck. Just going to settle for a 2-hit knockout on a non-GX Pokemon. That doesn't sound very good.
You're right, it is very slow for him, but I guess his mentality is, well...
Oh, he also has Rescue.
Yeah, that's also true. So he can reach, thanks to this Alolan Grimer that was knocked out last turn, and then get the Stadium into play to knock out this Wobbuffet. He's able to pick up Judge from his prize cards, which is a pretty sweet deal. So it's a nice way to disrupt Philip's hand even further, now that there's the Alolan Muck in play as well.
Yeah, this is a pretty miserable situation for Philip, though. Now with the Alolan Muck, there's no access to Tapu Koko Prism Star on his side, and his hand is just stone cold unplayable. He played an energy for the turn. He's got a bunch of basics he can play down, but he can't do much besides Thunderous Assault with that Zapdos, and That is not a full blitz.
Boy, did he need that Stellar Wish this turn. I mean, he developed the Wobbuffet in order to try and make it difficult for Alex to find the muck, but he's now just having to retreat into it as fodder here as he tries to get out of this funky hand that is just full of energy and Pokemon. A couple of Electro Powers, but he's so far away from an attack that life's awkward for him.
What?
Alex still going for a Judge, though. That's very bold. I mean, when you have a read on an opponent, normally it's so obvious when your opponent has no playables, and instead he's just going to...
Yeah, usually when they don't play any cards from their hand, that's a good sign.
It's really giving a lifeline to Philip here.
I mean, maybe he just thought his opponent was sitting on, like, Energy Switch, Energy, and some Electro Powers, but yeah, that seems bizarre to me, giving your opponent a fresh hand when they've shown that they have absolutely nothing.
We're going to see a couple more trades from Alex. That's what's even more interesting. He was doing the Judge immediately. He was confident that that was the correct play. At the very least, this Judge and a few trades has got him into another Rockruff and Fighting Energy, so he is securing his board state, but it's just having to use the Judge in order to do so is very awkward.
Yeah, and I do think at this point he is firmly in control once again. He's got multiple
oh my goodness
fighting Pokemon with energy on them. And
you know that combination we were talking about? He thought he had? Now he does have it.
I mean, you've opened Pandora's box once you've given your opponent a fresh hand of 4 cards.
Oh my goodness. Energy Switch, Energy Attachment immediately from Philip now. He's also got a Nespal and Lily. Of course, he's got to be concerned about just going in and punching with this Pikachu and Zekrom with a Lycanroc and a Rockruff, both with energies ready to go.
Yeah, I don't think he wants to bench a third Pokemon because then Dangerous Rogue GX gets the instant knockout.
We're seeing Nespal.
I mean, he has a Lily in hand, so he certainly wants to play it regardless. It's just a question of does he want to get another Pokemon down to the bench, and he does. I guess you do need something to full blitz onto.
I guess he's just saying, I mean, I'm going to need to be on the better side of luck of things if I'm going to win this game. I'm a little bit behind, and one way or another, I'm going to have to hope that one of these Pikachu and Zekroms can take a hit just like last game.
And he's going to need to find a Choice Band and Electro Power to get a full blitz knockout here, or at least a Choice Band or Electro Power just to tag bolt for the knockout on this Zoroark GX, but
nope.
How about just scoop up my cards instead?
He sees the writing on the wall for this second game. Alex able to level up this match here. 1 game apiece now, and it's going to go to this game 3 to see who is going to make the finals of the European International Championships 2019. Very impressive display from both players here. Alex seems to have calmed his nerves and is playing perfectly at this stage.
Yeah, I've been watching him over the weekend, and he has played excellently throughout. So no surprise to see him continue on to the top 4. But we've gone through 15 Swiss rounds, 1 single elimination round. And then for these 2 players, it's just 1 more game decides who gets to continue playing and fight for the championship title and who has to end their run here tonight.
Philip, for the first time in the series, is going to get to go first, though, and that can oftentimes, even granting you just 1 additional turn attachment, means that it's so likely that you can get full blitzing, especially his build. He's so happy with his 60 cards that he knows he has very high odds of looking for those full blitzes, so trying to put Alex on a even smaller clock, really, to win the game is a small advantage that he's got here.
Yeah, going first in this matchup is a big difference. Alex, in both games, was able to get down a Rockruff with an energy on the first turn and kind of set himself up for success, powering up multiple Lycanroc threats. When you go second, your opponent can do things like, all right, turn 1, I'm going to get all the energy, play my Lily, set up for a full blitz, and then turn 2, Guzma out your Rockruff that has the energy and knock it out. And that leaves you in a vulnerable position where you're like, I can't attack with Dangerous Rogue GX, and that's where things like Counter Gain come into effect, a card we've been seeing more of recently because you need to be able to power up Lycanroc GX in 1 turn, because if your opponent ever goes full blitz and then you don't knock out that Pikachu and Zekrom, they're just going to tag bolt GX and run you over.
Yeah, really, really important card, that counter gain. It's something that Alex is going to keep his eye on in this matchup. He does play Mallow to help find those key combinations in the right moment. So playing on the back foot he at least has the options in his deck to make sure that he can try and have answers to Pikachu and Zekroms that are basically going to be bearing down on him from turn 2 by the looks of things, as long as Philip has a more reasonable hand here. And of course there's the added threat of a Let Loose as well from turn 1 on Philip's side. We saw how explosive Alex had those turn 1s, filling up his bench pretty much both times on his first turn, thanks to the benefits of those lilies and multiple nest balls. And when Philip's going to let loose early, it makes life very difficult for Alex to get that combination of cards so quickly.
All right, Joe, 1 game to go. Philip is going first. Who do you think is going to win?
I think literally the fact that Philip is going first gives him a slight edge in this matchup. We have seen how well Alex has been able to, put up multiple threats against him this entire time, but I think having that added benefit of going first is a big deal.
Oh, we do see Thunder Mountain Prism Star in Philip's prize cards, though. It looks like both players are ready to go in game number 3. Not sure what the holdup is, but hopefully we'll get them flipping over their Pokemon shortly, and we'll get to it. I do see Alex has started the game with 3 Pokemon in play. That means he is much more resilient against Let Loose. Probably at least 1 Zorua and maybe a Rockruff. Whatever he can get down before Let Loose is going to help him.
Yeah, that's definitely a great start for him. We don't even know what those basics are, and we know that it's a great start for him. Just having them in numbers is always great for Zoroark, leading you towards larger Riotous beatings later down the line, but just giving you more options to trade. And even if they are the likes of Rockruff and Grimer, everything's good for him in this matchup. He plays these three Stage 1 Pokemons in his deck, and they're all good in these situations against the Pikachu and Zekrom decks that are so focused on Jirachi.
Yep, so we apologize for the slight hiccup here as we get something resolved on the stage between these 2 players. But here we go. 1 game remains. This will be the last game we are covering today from the Europe International Championships. After this, we'll be down to just 2 players, and we'll have a championship match tomorrow. And tomorrow we will have championship matches in all 3 age divisions for the TCG, the Junior, Senior, and Masters. And then we'll also have the video game championships, also Junior, Senior, and Masters divisions. So even though this is it for today, tomorrow we still have a ton of matches to show.
Yeah, and they are the cream of the crop matches, the 2 players who have played their hearts out going through all these grueling rounds. And as you can see, every game is really grueling. You can see these players are really stressing out over every decision and making sure they put themselves in the best stead to win the eventual game and the series. So it's been, a real marathon for both these players, and also in the lower age divisions for everyone who makes the finals. And it's a marathon that you really have to be faultless on for as often as possible to make your way to these finals.
All right, players have flipped over their opening Pokemon, and here we go. This is Game 3 of the top 4 here at the Europe International Championships. One of these players will advance to the finals to face off against Gustavo Wada. Will it be Alex, also from Brazil, or will it be Philip, representing Germany?
Philip takes a peek at his opening hand, and he's immediately thinking about sequencing. He's got himself Mysterious Treasure in there, a few other Lightning Energies, and he's also thinking, when do I weave in this Stellar Wish? Sequencing such a big deal for his deck, of course, because there's all sorts of things to keep an eye on. The discard pile full of Lightning Energies, how quickly he can get those in there. Obviously improving his outs for Stellar Wish, and what Pokemon he wants to search out from this Mysterious Treasure. He's obviously limited to just those Psychic Pokemon here. He's going to go ahead and grab himself a Tapu Lele GX to grab himself a Turn 1 supporter.
Yeah, his hand did not look very good. A bunch of energy, I think Tapu Koko GX, and really that was about it. So he's just going to Wonder Tag. Wonder if he'll go for Cynthia, because his hand just was full of stuff he couldn't play.
Well, Lily is on the top here. It may be what he's looking for. It may just be that he's looking for his prize cards right now as well, something that you really don't want to slip on late on in the game. He's actually going to go ahead and find himself another Lily here. Not noticing that it's the top card of his deck already. But yeah, Lily is going to be the choice here from the Tapu Lele, so maybe there are a handful more cards that he can play down here.
Yeah, he actually plays 1 Cynthia. So if it's prized, that option might not be there. It's not usually something you check for in your prizes. Yeah. How many Cynthia do I have in my deck? But if that's the case, yeah, look how many cards he can't even play from his hand. He's going to Stellar Wish. Probably needs to find an Ultra Ball.
Ultra Ball would be the biggest draw here off of this Stellar Wish. Looks like he's actually found.
Oh wait, there's
the
my theory is awful.
A skateboard is the choice. It at least makes life easier for moving this Jirachi. Not that he can attack this turn anyway, but maybe get into more Jirachi for future Stellar Wishes as well. Opening the door for a few better outs off of this Lily, but as you say, it's not getting him many cards here.
Yeah, I think just 4 cards if he plays down everything.
Yeah, even if he starts
maybe
burning Energy
5.
Switch and whatnot.
Maybe 6.
You can't play both the energy cards, we know that much, but yeah, he really is burning a decent number. Holds on to the Energy Switch, but does burn the Electro Power. Simply to draw an additional card here. More more Jirachi in the hand, so you can have another Stellar Wish here.
Yeah, and on Alex's side, he does start with 2 Rockruff and the Ditto Prism Star. No Zorua in his opening hand, but we'll have to wait and find out what's in his hand if he can set up his Pokemon like he has in the first 2 games. And looks like off this second Stellar Wish, Alex does find that crucial Ultra Ball. And he can search for any number of things. He could get the Pikachu and Zekrom GX down if he wants to. Could go for the Tapu Koko Prism Star. But he kind of needs both Pikachu and Zekrom and Tapu Koko at the same time so he can put the energy on to that tag team.
He may even just hold this for options for next turn. I mean, although Alex does play Judge, it's not often found on the first turn and not often used on the first turn because it comes with such risk for Alex. So he may just be holding on to this sort of hand until next turn because, as you say, he needs both pieces right now, and searching out one of them, yes, it could be beneficial, but you always have to be worried about putting Pikachu and Zekroms just sort of on the board just to have them there for future options. So instead, as we see, he's going to pass it over, flip for sleep with his Jirachi.
Oh my goodness.
Alex's first turn.
Alex, his hand was completely unplayable. And he top-decked Lily for the turn and draws 5 cards.
What a relief. He must have been sat there. That must have felt like the longest turn ever from Philip.
His hand was like a bunch of energy, a pal pad, and just top-decks Lily for the turn, and he's got life.
Wow, that's
Maybe
incredible.
not much, though.
Yeah, I mean, the Lily hasn't been spectacular. There's an Ultra Ball there, I see. Not much else, though. He may be forced just to hold on to this hand for a stage 1 for next turn, or maybe even a Tapu Lele for next turn as well.
Yeah, I don't even think you play the Ultra Ball here.
No.
As terrible as that sounds.
You can't leave yourself with nothing. You have to give yourself the opportunity to have one more draw. And again, maybe it could be a lifeline for him again. But we're going to see what Philip can do here. Comes back over to him. He's going to wake up his Jirachi simply to send it to sleep again, more than likely.
Yeah, those sleep flips tend to be more irrelevant than not.
Looks like he's going to start eyeing up, again, that discard pile, making sure. Looks like Pikachu and Zekrom tag team was actually his draw for turn. That makes his decision a lot easier with this Ultra Ball.
Yeah, that's one of the cards he would have wanted to draw this turn. I guess Nest Ball would have been nice, or Tapu Koko Prism Star also would have been good, but he will certainly accept that gift from the top of his deck. Now he can certainly try to power up for a full blitz here and really put the pressure on Alex. Now he'll probably be looking for a Guzma.
I think there's already one in his hand already.
Oh boy. If that's the case, then Alex is going to be in a lot of trouble.
Yeah, dealing with that Choice Banded and Energied Rockruff. Guzma is sat in the middle of his hand right now. There's already Energy Switch, Energy Attachment, and the Dance of the Ancients available to Philip, so I've no doubt that he'll be using this turn to deal with that big threat of the Rockruff.
Philip still deciding what he wants to take from the Stellar Wish, ends up with a Mysterious Treasure. And boy, this is the difference when you get to go first.
How does Guzma combine with a Let Loose sound, Kyle? That sounds like a reasonable option. That's available to him now thanks to that Mysterious Treasure.
Reasonable to who?
Reasonable to Philip.
All right, so we see the Dance of the Ancients with Tapu Koko Prism Star. And another energy onto Pikachu and Zekrom GX. We'll see an energy switch, moving the energy over to Pikachu and Zekrom. So now the tag team has 3 energy ready to use full blitz. Pairs it with the Guzma to go after that Rockruff that has the energy on it. He even gets another Stellar Wish. And like you said, we might be seeing a Let Loose from Marshadow as well.
I think if he can't find himself the likes of a Nest Ball for potentially another Pikachu and Zekrom here, it might just be a Let Loose, but we are going to see the Nest Ball itself there. And I think that's his best option. It lets him hedge a little bit, just in case Alex does come up with a crazy combination. Like you said, the likes of counter gain is always something in the back of Philip's mind that has to be a little bit concerned about and respect.
Yeah, Alex is absolutely going to be in a terrible situation here. He's not out of it by any means. He has combinations of cards he can draw, but boy, he needs to start hitting them immediately. This is the kind of pressure that Pikachu and Zekrom GX puts on you. If you miss one turn of knocking these things out at this point, you're pretty much going to lose. There's just going to be big knockouts every turn. Eventually, you'll see that Tag Bolt GX knocking out multiple Pokemon in one turn. Of course, it's a very risky Pokemon. It gives up 3 prize cards when it's knocked out. But when it's unchecked, well, the game ends very quickly.
And there are 7 energies in play now for Philip. It's turn 2, may I remind you. And Alex has got himself a Nestball to kick things off, but he really is climbing a mountain this turn if he's going to get any big response here.
Yeah, I think he needs to find the Lycanroc GX plus counter gain, as you were saying. That's going to be the start of his comeback here. If he can pull that off, he can Dangerous Rogue GX for a knockout, but man, I don't even know if that's enough, right? Then the Lycanroc would just go down. What does he have after that?
Then it's him as well, just hoping that Philip can't find the likes of Electro Powers and Choice Bands to get over the line once again. So even if he is able to pull off the sort of miracle turn here with the combination of Lycanroc plus counter gain plus energy attachment, it's still gonna, he's still fighting from behind somehow.
He's going to do whatever he can. Grab that Cynthia with Wonder Tag. His opening hand was not very helpful. Even after he top decked that Lily, he was not able to get any Zorua onto the bench, and he does get a Alolan Muck.
Wow. It means that he can't trade as well. He's only limiting himself to 6 cards here. Maybe he's just telling himself, well, Philip's got 2 Jirachi anyway. If this Lycanroc is ever going to take a hit from a Pikachu and Zekrom, I really can't let Philip have Stellar Wish. I'll just be dead in the water anyway.
So these are massive 6 cards for Alex. He needs to find that counter gain. That's going to be the difficult card to find because there's no real way to search for it. Plus a way to get Lycanroc GX just to knock out this first Pikachu and Zekrom. If he doesn't, I mean, he can't even attack with his Rock Ruff.
Oh, he's not there. He doesn't have the monster 6 cards that he needed. Well, the monster 2 cards that he needed from this 6-card draw here. He might be just having to, well, are there even any stalling options he can go for here with Bloodthirsty Eyes? Or I don't really know what else he's got here.
You can try to bring out Tapu Lele, but
yep.
Philip's deck is full of energy and energy switches. It seems very unlikely that he won't be able to move the Tapu Lele.
Yeah, that's very true. Alex is going to nest ball out another Rockruff here, but everything seems very awkward for him. Pokemon Communication, trading in a Tapu Lele, maybe for another basic, but it seems more or less trivial at this point. He could try and take a Twilight Eyes Lycanroc as well and remove an energy from Philip's active Pokemon, but instead just going to go for a Zorua here, replenishing his basics. But I mean, if this was turn 1, fine. This is what we're looking for. But it turns out Philip's already got 7 energy on the board, and it's really, really slow for him.
Yeah, he could bring up the Zeraora GX. Now that Alolan Muck is in play, it shuts off the Thunderclap zone. So even if Philip found an energy, he'd have to pay 2 to retreat. I think ultimately it doesn't make any difference. And he even has Switch in hand already, so this is going to get ugly very fast. If Philip can find Choice Band plus Electro Power, he can full blitz for the knockout on this Lycanroc GX, get 6 energy onto a Pikachu and Zekrom, and basically punch his ticket to the finals.
Philip quickly going for a Mysterious Treasure to lower his hand size. Looks like Lily's going to be his option. I think he's already holding on to Choice Band as well. He's actually going straight into the Pikachu and Zekrom, he's saying. He could have just gone into the skateboarded Jirachi, but let's just hit it off the Lily and end the game quickly.
No need to waste time, Joe. This is what's going to happen.
Here we go. Choice Band committed to the active. We're going to see, does he hit it off the Lily? Wasn't obvious there. Oh, there it is. Of course, of course.
There is the Electro Power. Now full blitz, hitting for 210 damage. And Alex Silva's hopes are slowly fading away as we're going to see a full blitz for a 2-prize knockout on this Lycanroc GX. We'll see if he's got enough energy left in his deck to power up Pikachu and Zekrom.
3 remaining.
Sure does. And he's deciding where to put them. Going to go ahead and put them on the benched Pikachu and Zekrom. And we're back where we were a turn ago. Alex needs to find Lycanroc GX plus that counter gain to knock out the Pikachu and Zekrom on the bench now. Otherwise, it's basically game over.
Yeah, it's an awful spot for Alex at this point. So much energy, so many big threats from Philip, and as you say, threatening that Tag Bolt can take 3 prizes all next turn. Alex has got 1 trade here, but again, he's really just clutching at straws.
He does find Pokemon Communication, can find him a second Zoroark GX. He found Tapu Lele, but remember, he has Alolan Muck in play, so he cannot use Wonder Tag. So Alex is going to have 1 more trade here. He needs to hit a supporter. He needs to find Lily or Cynthia. There's no 2-card combination that works for him. He needs to find a 3-card combo. And that's not it. Alex extends his hand, and Philip is heading to the finals, representing Germany here in Berlin. He will face Gustavo tomorrow. Congratulations to Philip.
Yeah, incredible series there. Both players really showing what they're made of and piloting their decks to really impressive showings, really. It was fantastic. At times, players having to be patient. At times, there's just all-in moments in games, and you just have to be bold and say, this is my time. Either my opponent has the answers, or I'm just going to push through here. And in this situation, Philip was able to take that last game.
Yeah, well played by Philip. He did exactly what his deck is supposed to do. Powered up Pikachu and Zekrom, and you know, that's all you really do, right? You power up Pikachu and Zekrom, cross your fingers, wish your opponent good luck. You know the game's going to be over within 2 or 3 turns, and he was on the right end of this one.
And it was really explosive turns from Philip at times as well. That early full blitz on the first game, on the very first turn, was such a great start for him. And I'm already excited for the finals, I've got to be honest. I mean, there's going to be a back and forth from these players. I mean, Pikachu and Zekrom versus Pikachu and Zekrom, it's sometimes crafty, sometimes it's just a huge back and forth of crazy prize swings as well. So it's going to be thrilling tomorrow.
Yeah, we know one thing for sure. Pikachu and Zekrom will win this international championships. The first time it will do so. The first time it's really winning a major event, honestly. Has not won a regional championships, hasn't won the internationals, has done well at some special events, but this will be the first big victory for this tag team Pokemon. And yeah, like you said, it should be an exciting matchup tomorrow, full of electro powers and lots of lightning and electricity flying around.
Yeah, it's kind of grown into the format, as you said. I mean, we're at this point now where lists are getting so optimized. It feels like a big result here or there for one of the Pikachu and Zekrom players can make people believe that that list is correct. I mean, we've seen all sorts of things. We've seen order pads, we've seen multi-switches combined with 4 energy switches. There's all these things that people have to explore, and it's come to this point that we've had long enough in this format where people have found the 60s that work for them, even though there's 2 very different 60-card lists going into our finals. Both players have made lists that work for them.
Yeah, you just have to decide, are you on Team Oricorio or not?
Well, personally, I don't know. I've not tried enough Oricorio myself. I haven't been bold enough to take it out for a spin, so I'm going to be unbiased here.
All right. I mean, Oricorio did a pretty good job there in that first game, allowing Philip to pull off the turn 1 full blitz, so I gotta say, I like it a little bit. It's a little awkward. It takes up a bench spot, but hey, Oricorio gets the job done.
If I'm not Team Oricorio, I'm at very least Team Mysterious Treasure. It gives you good outs for additional Tapu Leles and Let Loose, so that's always something that you do have to keep in mind with this list.
Yeah, and we do have an interview lined up with Philip, our second finalist, so let's hear what he has to say.
Thank you very much, Casters. I'm joined here with one of our finalists of the 2019 International Championships here in Berlin, Germany. Philip, how are you feeling after that match?
I'm exhausted. I'm really happy though, yeah.
I can imagine you must be exhausted. You've played through so many games of Pokemon this weekend. You still have one more to play. Well, firstly, tell us a bit about that match, because we saw actually in the first game there's a bit of technical difficulty in that match. Your opponent, Alex, I believe, wanted to attach that choice band, accidentally attached that double color synergy. How did you feel as a result of that play? Did that affect the matchup in particular, do you think, or...?
Yeah, I think I wouldn't have won the game actually if he just attached the choice band correctly. And yeah, I mean, it's sad to win like this, but yeah, I mean, I can't complain.
Of course, yeah. I guess when those situations happen, you just take it. But it's a kind of case of, I mean, when he did that, that would have knocked out your Pikachu Zekrom GX, which would have taken 3 prizes. But you did have, I believe, I have to remember, you did have another one on the bench. I don't know if that would have done too much at the time, but sometimes when you have that heat of the moment, you know, small margins really make a big difference, as we've seen today. But tell us a bit about the course of your journey to get to this point here. What have you faced over the course of today? How have you felt in terms of the matches that you've played throughout the course of today?
Well, today I felt like I got pretty lucky. Like the first 3 rounds of Day 2 Swiss, I got pretty fortunate pairings. Like next to me were really difficult matchups, or mirror matches, and I had like easy matchups. And then like I just got really lucky to get into top 8, and my deck did what it can, and yeah. And now I hope I can win the finals too.
Of course. Well, you are flying the flag for Germany. You're the last German competitor in this tournament, so the hopes of a hometown hero is lying on your shoulders. But you've done amazingly well to get to this point. I mean, is there someone actually in the crowd, is there someone watching at home that you would like to say thank you to? Is there someone you want to give a shout out to? Anyone that's helped you get to this point?
Yeah, shout out to Isaiah Williams, I guess, because the DGG list he posted on YouTube had Oricorio in it, and I kind of gave me the idea to play around with it, and I adapted the list from that one. And also shout out to Basti Zellmeyer there, you know, here, my boy. He also played the deck. He got really unlucky, but I'm gonna avenge you now. Okay, yeah, that was it.
Perfect. Well, it's great to see you here on stage doing so well. And yes, you are actually one of maybe the only player that I've seen this weekend that's played that Oricorio over the weekend. But obviously doing justice that you've got here this far, and we've seen you use it so much before. So, well, it leads me to say congratulations getting all the way here. It's a fantastic achievement to come as far as you have done. Best of luck in the finals, okay? We will see you tomorrow. So go home, relax, and take a breather. And yeah, Carsters, back to you.
All right, thanks for that interview, Jamie, and thanks to Philip for his time. As he said, he is exhausted, and he probably needs to go grab some dinner, get some rest, and prepare for probably the biggest match of his life. Going up against Gustavo in the finals. Lots of prizes on the line, and of course, just that title of international champion. You always want to bring it home for your home region, and in this case, even your home country. I'm sure he would love to get a win for Germany.
Yeah, a final reminder to see that bracket. Let's see how these two made their way to the finals. We've been through all the action today. Gustavo beating Brent Tonneson in that top 8. And as we saw, defeating Andre Skubal as well, the Zapdos Ultra Beast base build. And for Philip, it was beating Arjan, who we did showcase on stream, of course, and Alex Silva in that nail biter of a game we've just seen.
Yeah, it's going to be the battle of Pikachu and Zekrom. Which tag team will prevail? Will it be Phillips or Gustavo's? It should be an exciting, hard-hitting matchup either way. I'm not sure how many turns it will take, but it will certainly be exciting. So, folks, thank you for watching our coverage today. We will be back tomorrow morning to cover all 3 age divisions in Championship Sunday. We'll kick it off tomorrow morning with the Junior Division finals and then Senior and Masters eventually. So please, folks, join us again tomorrow. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you later.